Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second. Well, should we call this the second annual Hallowstream? Because I know we skipped last year, even though I was planning on having it last year, but we did it the year before. Second annual. How would you guys describe it?
I wasn't on last year, so
Well, no,
I
because we didn't have it last year.
yeah,
also wasn't
or I
on
mean
last
last time.
Okay. Anyway, so
The
even though
second
we didn't have it
biannual.
last year, and even though yesterday was Halloween, Halloween is still in our hearts. So welcome everybody who is watching to the second Hallowstream. Maybe not annual at this point, but the second Hallowstream. How is everybody doing this fine evening, starting with Strange Seconds? How are you doing on this fine November 1st, the year of our Lord 2022?
I'm doing all right. Just had to pay rent, which
One of the scariest things we have to do.
my wallet weeps, but hey, it's what we all have to do. So that was the scariest thing that happened this Halloween for me. So
What about you, Kingfish?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Explain.
By the way, if I randomly leave in the middle, that's because I'm switching to PC.
Switching to PC, as in your computer? Okay, fair enough. All right, Kilhoon, how are you doing this evening?
Doing fine on this great All Hallows Day. Remember to pray for all the souls that are in purgatory this night, as the original intent of this day is. Halloween. It's really All Hallows Eve to prepare yourself for All Hallows Day. And then, of course, corporate America took it over and corrupted it. So, yeah. I really can't stand Halloween anymore. I just see it as a consumeristic holiday. That's kind of my opinion.
So, as a Catholic, Kilhoon, does it bother you that people treat Halloween, aka the 31st, more importantly than they treat the 1st of November?
Yes, but I don't blame people who aren't Catholics, but I really do shame the Catholics that do that.
How so? In what way?
By shaming, it's like I just do like the subtle reminder. It's like, well, this is really All Hallows Eve, and tomorrow is a holy day of obligation that you must meet and pray for all the souls that are in purgatory that go unnamed because nobody knows their name. Down in there. So it's like
there's that Catholic guilt.
It's not guilt. It's literally you pray for souls that are in purgatory, so that way you do penance on this earth for their penance in purgatory, so they get less time in there. That's a very materialistic way of saying it, but that's the only way to explain it really to non-Catholics.
Oh no, I mean like the way you approached saying that. That's like layering on the guilt. I didn't mean like what you said itself was. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It kind of matters. It kind of matters if it's a subject of discussion.
Which I say honestly, like it's important when discussing Halloween because most people just are materialistic and they just think of like the corporate identity of it being this. Buy candy, buy a costume, buy this, buy that, pump the machine.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a holiday behind it until just now, really, so...
Wait, you didn't know that there was a holiday behind it?
I mean, I had heard of All Hallows Eve, but I thought it was some old pagan thing. I didn't think it was an actual Christian thing.
No, it was always Christian. It was never pagan. Pagan, It comes from the narrative kind of spread by evangelicals because they're fake Christians who don't understand theology, that think that the Catholic practice of going door to door asking for prayers for their dead, which they did typically on All Hallows Eve, which typically also involved children dressing in costumes to go to door. They thought then the evangelicals thought that was pagan because they thought everything the Catholic Church did was pagan. So that's where that whole myth comes from.
Politicrat sex. Oh, sorry. I mean, Hungry Country Ball. How are you doing this evening?
Terrible. Some asshole made me come on his stream.
Yep, that was me. That was indeed me.
Yes, and so I think this name is very appropriate to what you're treating me like.
Yeah, I know. I'm treating you. Unfortunately, you're not in costume at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you don't beat me that hard yet.
Anyway, what does Halloween mean to you?
It gives me an excuse to cross-dress in public.
That's
I mean,
it.
you don't really need an excuse.
Yeah, I don't, but it's a better excuse.
Anyway, so explain your
Well,
costume because you're not wearing your costume at the moment, but explain what it would otherwise be. Politicrat sex slave.
It would have been a bunny girl outfit.
Yeah, why aren't you wearing your bunny girl outfit?
Because I don't want to. You know how long it takes to put fishhook leggings on?
Pardon me?
You know how hard it is to put fishhook leggings on?
You don't have to put the fish egg legs on. Just put on the rest of the costume.
It's still pretty hard to put on it, and it's not worth it.
Anyway, okay, guys, everybody, happy Halloween or late Halloween. Happy All Saints Day. Happy All Saints Day. Tomorrow is All Souls Day. Today's All Saints Day. We're gonna go around just real quick, and I know it's gonna get fun when we get to the Kingfish. I think he left, but when we get to the Kingfish, it's gonna be fun. But what does Halloween mean to you? Starting with Strange Seconds, what does Halloween mean to you?
I mean, I haven't really celebrated Halloween since I was a freshman in college. I guess back then it was an excuse to get shit-faced.
That's
Doesn't
it.
really mean much to me, so I guess that's as much of as good of a meaning as any.
It still is an excuse to get shit faced, my friend. Anyway, Kingfish, what does Halloween mean to you?
Frankly, nothing.
Explain. This is going to be the interesting one. Explain.
Okay, I am an Orthodox Jew. Orthodox Jews do not celebrate Halloween. I do not speak for every Jew. I just speak for observant Jews. Observant Jews, generally speaking, do not celebrate Halloween.
I know. I've known observant Jews who celebrate Halloween. Not Orthodox, but observant.
Maybe like the left wing of, because here's the thing. There is kind of a spectrum when it comes to modern Orthodoxy. Because you have people who are essentially regular Orthodox or even ultra-Orthodox in practice, but have more modern views about things. And then you have people who are basically conservative but keep Shabbat and kosher.
So wait, no. What about Jews who are Orthodox? Wait, is it possible to be an Orthodox left-wing Jew?
Sadly, I know many of them, so yeah.
Interesting. So you'll have conservative and Reformed Jews who are right-wing, but also left-wing Orthodox Jews?
Basically.
That's weird.
I don't think Mark Levin is particularly religious, yet he's right-wing.
I met his wife once when I was working at a bookstore.
Really?
I worked at a bookstore. His wife was super high maintenance. He was nice, but his wife was like, "Oh, my husband is such an American treasure."
Harold! Mark, can we go? I'm hungry and my back hurts.
Yes, that was his wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kilhoon, what does Halloween mean to you, and why is the Politicrat the most based costume here?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. It's the most base costume because you're dressing as a holy warrior that went to war against the evil tides of Islam a millennia ago, specifically from the Knights Templar order that were unjustly destroyed by Philip the Fair, or Philip the Terrible, as I call him, of France.
I thought you hated Freemasons.
I do, but the Knights Templar were not Freemasons.
They became the Freemasons after they went.
No, No, that's part of the Freemason mythology, but the Knights Templar were not Freemasons. I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but yeah, no, that it's kind of like, King Solomon was a Freemason. It's like, okay, Freemasons, okay.
Yeah, at that point, you might as well just start saying the Assassin Order exists.
Well,
I mean, they were real. They were great.
I'm talking about from like Assassin's Creed. I'm making
Well,
that
Assassin's Creed was inspired by like real events. Like the Assassins were a real Islamic order that killed Christians.
Yeah, I'm sure they were, and I'm sure they were active in Venice.
No, they were not active in Venice. They definitely were not active in Venice.
But I mean, like, if let's just say if Assassin's Creed was truly written by a Western man, then the Knights Templar would have actually been the protagonist, and the Assassins would have been this evil order that they need to rid the world of.
To be fair, that's actually kind of the case in Valhalla. Like, basically, the Templars take over from, like, the old order that, like, basically, like, they superseded that were a bunch of pagans. And it was one of the, like, it was the King of England who kicked the ass of all the Vikings. And he was just like, yep, I brought God to the pagans, and we're going to be chill with you for now, so...
Yeah, the Great Pagan Army, they had initial success, but their only success was when the Christian armies weren't mobilized, and as soon as the various kingdoms of England, because England wasn't unified then under one singular crown.
No, yeah, they were raiders who were good at hit and run tactics. They were good at finding those like exposed areas where the military wasn't mobilized and they could move quickly. But if they got pinned by an army, every time they were screwed. Like the knights, like English knights, like if they actually got like a fair battle in, would win every time against like the Vikings, who maybe had a chain shirt between three of them and like a bunch of axes.
Yeah, which I only kind of got into this after I went through a Viking fetish when I watched the show Vikings, which was I would say it was fairly well done the first couple seasons. But as
the last season was pretty bad.
I can believe that. I kind of say after it was that season after the failure to attack France, like when Roloff led the French against Ragnar. That's kind of where the series like had its last hurrah, and it dropped off entirely.
Oh, that's where I stopped watching. So I'm glad to know I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, you didn't. It really dies after that. But I mean. And then you start like researching into the Vikings, and it's like, yeah, the Vikings against trained Christian armies were not this successful as depicted in the show.
So I don't know if this is true. But one of our viewers, Jackson Mandar, says Kiev has been taken. Is this true, fact checker? Is this true? Has it been taken?
What?
I don't know.
Kiev has been taken by who? The Russians?
Has Kiev been taken by the Russians? Let's take a look.
Maybe he's talking about the Vikings, because Kiev was taken by the Vikings way long ago.
No, what I was
true.
saying is
that is true. That is true.
It's the Vikings who were successful, basically all converted to Christianity.
No, Kiev has a 425 shelters nuclear attack. They're preparing for a nuclear attack, I know, but no, yes, the Vikings totally took Kiev. We know that,
and it's pronounced Kiev, not Kiev, like that retarded Ukrainian languages, because it's always been called Kiev for forever. Ukrainian is just a dialect of Russian.
I've always spelled it Kiev, like Kiev. I haven't even seen the Kyiv spelling until recently, until this past year. And I do think it's likely a product of Ukrainian nationalism. That was
it is.
The Ukrainians don't pronounce it Kiev.
Well, it's only in like the particular like Eastern Ukrainian, because Ukrainian is just a dialect of Russian, so it's very undeveloped compared to the Russian language. Like the Russian language was used in the Russian Empire as like for everything, every administration, every law, everything was written in that. And Kiev was just, it was seen as just Russian, but a dialect of it, kind of like Bavarian German is like unique from like Northern German.
I'm pretty sure Ukrainian is kind of like, it's in between like Polish and Russian.
Well, yeah, it was
It's closer
influenced
to
by,
Russian than it is to Polish, though.
yeah.
As somebody who studied linguistics,
But
yeah.
is it actually like a dialect of Russian, or is that like an overstatement?
I would say it's a dialect of Russian. Every person I've talked to that's expert on the subject says it's effectively a dialect. So,
Well, all Slavic
It-
languages are essentially dialects of each other.
The last person I talked to who at least was knowledgeable in linguistics basically said that the most confident thing he could say is the languages are tied together and they've both affected each other. It's the thing is technically Ukrainian was first by barely any amount of time, but it was technically first. Just Russia spread further faster.
well,
So
also
it's
it,
like
well, I mean, Ukraine never existed as like a concept because the Kievan Rus, like it was Kiev's Rus, like, and Russia just is the original Rus. So like there was no such thing as like a Ukraine back during the first Slavic state in that area.
oh, this was before they were really even called that. This was probably back in like the Crimean era, like Crimean Tartars. That's where a lot of the like origins of that language comes from. And that was before the time of Kievan Rus. It's more that just people have been inhabiting that area earlier. I'm not sure. I don't know for a fact if like when the national identity of Ukraine was formed, though I'm gonna assume that was after Russia.
20th
But-
century. 20th century is where most historians, like the beginning, like during World War One and post World War One, was when
I think the Ukrainians always had somewhat of a distinct identity. They just never really...
It was a cultural identity, though. It wasn't necessarily like
Oh no, it wasn't a national identity. Like
that. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying you could say the same thing of the Jews, but you know, we had a distinct identity from the rest of Europe since we set foot there, basically.
well, yeah, I mean the fact that there are also separate ethnic groups from
I'll be back.
Europeans, yeah, that's
Right.
and the mythology of Judea prior to that. So, but with like Ukraine, it's like they can't really have that same distinction because they were always seen as like this part of the greater Rus that would include Belarus, Russia, not well, more like Muscovy, Novgorod. They were all seen as like these core states, part of this, especially Russia. I mean, not Russian, Russian Orthodox civilization in the East.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, that's why like Kiev is seen by Russians as like an integral, like part of like the Rus identity and the Orthodox identity.
Yeah. It's really interesting when it comes to Slavs generally, because the Slavic peoples and languages only started diverging from each other about 1,000 years ago. So, you know, they happen to be pretty like culturally similar in certain aspects. Like, I mean, someone made an auxiliary language called intra-Slavic, where they basically just took all Slavic languages, modified them in a way that would be understood by all Slavs, including the grammar. And it's now a language that can be picked up pretty easily by any Slav anywhere from Bulgarians to Polish. And you can speak it to each other. And even the Slavic languages, to a certain extent, with each other, contain a high amount of intelligibility.
Yeah, and that's why Polish is an atrocious language because it tries to use a Latin alphabet with with a Slavic language.
Polish looks atrocious. Like, holy crap! I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's just Latinized Slavs.
Whoever
That's-
designed the orthography of Polish needs to be put to death.
well, yeah. I mean, that's because they were Latinized by the Germans. So, yeah, that's kind of why they have like a weird alphabet. I mean, like a weird way that they use the Latin alphabet. And they should really have a Cyrillic alphabet if they were going to be true to their own language. But I'm not an expert etymologist to explain why. I just know that by like having been told by Polish people myself.
Okay, so we're going to stop talking about Kiev and Poland, and we're going to start talking about. Okay, so we have several things we can start talking about. Oh, excuse me.
About how theory obsessed you are.
We can talk about conspiracy theories. We can talk about the paranormal. We can talk about secret societies, or we can talk about Ziggurats.
What?
What?
What's the latter one?
I said Ziggurats.
Like Babylonian Ziggurats?
How about we just talk about how we get you to touch grass?
Yeah. Why don't we talk about that? Politicrat, this is an intervention. Let's just say too much trivia on the mind. You need to touch grass. Why don't you also like go touch a tree as well? Go smell the pine cones, and go like run like about 5 miles on a mountain trail or something.
Or just get a bike.
No, bikes that it reduces the amount of time you're in nature. You need to maximize.
That is true.
Well, it depends what you do with the bike. Or where you take the bike.
Whatever. That just derailed the whole thing. But
No
whatever.
bike trails in nature.
Yeah. Well, okay, they're made by man. That's why running in nature is the
What do you
most
think
natural.
most trails are made out of?
Well, there are deer trails, and then there are bear trails.
No, but most trails people walk on are made
guys.
man.
Okay, I'm gonna reel you guys back in. So
No. This is an important debate we're having.
No, I will give you. I'm muting you. I will give you a choice.
I can unmute myself.
Conspiracy theories, the paranormal, secret societies, or Ziggurats.
Unmute.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories. Okay. So what is everybody's favorite conspiracy theory? Okay, actually, okay. Let's talk about the.
Unmute.
Okay, wait, Kingfish, you're here. Let's talk about the three parenthesis conspiracy theory.
Ooh. Okay.
Does everyone know what the three parenthesis conspiracy theory is?
It's how you need 3 bitches to get out of this trance of being theory obsessed.
No.
Well, you should.
I will have the Kingfish disclose the origins of the conspiracy theory.
Well, what conspiracy theory in specific are you referring to?
Financial.
About what? There are so many.
I said 3 parentheses.
Okay, I might not know what you're talking about here. I'll
The
be
Jews.
honest.
The Jews. You're Jewish.
Yes.
Okay. Explain the history of conspiracy theories surrounding the Jewish people.
That we control everything. The media, the banks, the major Hollywood institutions, stuff like that.
Okay, to be fair, that last part is kind of true.
Yeah, I think even Jews accept because when neo-Nazis go like the banks and the media, we're like, oh, come on, that's not fair. When they say Hollywood, we're kind of like, you kind of have a point there.
Even the banks, to an extent. Like,
oh, come on, no. I saw this thing a while ago that it's like the Irish actually control the world because I think more trust funds are in the hands of people of Irish descent.
Is that true?
I think so. There was a meme about it that was spinning around.
I think that's just the Irish trying to get more revenge against the Anglos by controlling their finance.
The Irish,
the Iberno conspiracy
tax
theory.
incentive, eh?
Will,
What?
what's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oh no, I miss the days when the only conspiracy theories people really talked about was like the earth is flat and shit like that.
Okay, you know what? We're going to watch one of my favorite conspiracy theory videos and we're going to commentate on it as we go along.
Can I mention my favorite conspiracy theory? Well, 2 of my favorite conspiracy theories. I don't believe them, but I choose for them to be true because they're just hilarious.
Pardon me?
I don't believe in the conspiracy theories that I hold, that I say I do, but I just believe in them because I think they're hilarious and I want them to be true.
Oh, we're going to watch a conspiracy theory movie. It's only
Hey.
a 30-minute documentary. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes watching it and commentating on it.
Shouldn't we go through like all of ours? Because I mean, I still need
Actually,
to say
yeah.
mine.
Okay, so we'll wait and watch the movie until we all go through ours. So, Strange Seconds, you said yours, right? Did you say yours? What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Yeah, no, I think I don't know, really. I don't really. I guess if you're really thinking about like from, I don't know. There's always a good Bush did 9/11. That's always a good one.
He didn't do
That's far
9/11.
too normie.
No, Bush did not do 9/11, but he did know 9/11 was coming.
No, yeah, I know that, but you know, the whole the people who really go into it, like he was one of the ones who planned it. You know, he helped train the pilot and shit like that. Like
Okay,
that's when
Kingfish.
you're getting that good, ridiculous shit.
Kingfish, favorite conspiracy theory.
I have two favorite conspiracy theories. The first one is that Reagan killed all the birds in 1986, and that all of the rest of them are robots controlled by the government in order to basically spy on the civilians. I actually have a story about that. I was one time walking to the Western Wall with a friend of mine on Shabbat, on the Jewish
Hey,
Sabbath.
kill Hoon.
It's
Kill Hoon.
it's really-
You have some
no.
echo. Kill Hoon has some echo. Turn it down.
Yeah, I was retrieving paintbrushes because I'm trying to paint while I do this.
Okay. Anyway, continue, Kingfish, with your story about you on Shabbat.
So I was with a friend on Shabbat, and we walked to the Western Wall, and we were going through the Armenian quarter. The Armenians have their own quarter in Jerusalem. It's the Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Armenian quarter.
Are the Armenians Christian or Muslim?
They're Christian.
Okay.
They have their own quarter because I think they were like some of the first Christians in the Holy Land.
Well, they were.
Okay, to be fair, Armenia was the very first Christian kingdom in the Roman Empire.
Wasn't it Aksum?
No, that was the third.
Oh,
It was first
Armenia was the first Christian kingdom to pledge allegiance to Rome.
That's interesting.
Well, also, I mean, it technically converted before it pledged allegiance to Rome, but it was the first one to pledge allegiance to Rome, and then Georgia was the second, and Axum was the third.
Did I ever tell you guys my patron saint is actually Constantine?
Really? That's interesting. So, anyways, I was one time walking with a friend on Shabbat, and we saw this pigeon like in this tunnel in the Armenian quarter, and I mentioned to my friend the joke about about birds not being real. And we were just like, dude, imagine if this bird wasn't real and it was just a government drone. And then we kept walking. We prayed at the Western Wall. We said some psalms, and we came back, and we were going through that tunnel again. And the bird was in the exact same place, in the exact same position as it had been 45 minutes earlier.
I'm pretty sure the bird was just dead.
No, it wasn't, because it flew away afterwards.
Oh God, they're on to you.
Yeah. So yeah, that the bird wasn't dead because it flew away afterwards.
Or maybe it was a zombie bird.
And that freaked me out. So, but I actually don't believe in this conspiracy theory. I just found that hilarious. My second favorite conspiracy theory is that the state of Idaho does not exist.
I mean, we all
That's
know
a good
Colorado.
one.
No, wait, it's not.
I like that
it's
one.
Wyoming. Wyoming isn't real.
So
And
those
and
are
Idaho.
those are my two favorite.
No,
conspiracy theories.
guys. Montana isn't real.
No, it's
No.
real.
Idaho isn't real.
Kilhoon, is Montana real?
He said he'll be back in a sec.
Oh no, okay, I was fucking with it. Anyway, okay, so Victor, welcome Victor to the Hallowstream. I don't think you've been to the Hallowstream before. You weren't here last year or the year before. What does Halloween mean to you? if it means anything to you whatsoever.
Candy.
Okay. Sasky typeset.
Yes.
What does Halloween mean to you, if it means anything at all?
Candy.
Anyway, Strange Seconds. Strange Seconds. Favorite conspiracy theory?
I don't know. Now I'm really liking Idaho isn't real.
Why wouldn't Idaho be real?
I don't know. It's just grown because it's fucking Idaho.
Do you know anyone from
Yeah,
Idaho?
do you know
I'll put it like
anyone
that.
from fucking Idaho? I don't.
Okay, to
I
be
don't
fair,
know. You can give me-
my grandfather's older brother was from Idaho.
That's what they
He's a
always
liar.
say.
Liar.
Sure.
Sure, he
I'm dead
was.
serious. I'm dead
That's just what
serious.
the deep state wants you
Yeah,
to
didn't
think.
you say you have like family members who work in defense and stuff? You know, they're all government.
That's the other
agents.
side of the
Cover.
family. That is the other side of the family.
Maybe they're the same side.
That's fair. That's a fair concession. That's a
I
fair
love
point.
how you're just completely unfazed by what I'm saying.
Idaho does not exist. Okay, it's a conspiracy by the deep state in order to lie about where our potatoes come from because they don't want to admit that our potatoes actually come from Russia.
No, they actually come from a secret old pre-Soviet sack of infinite potatoes, which we sent some army officials into one time, and they died. Malnutrition.
We do not talk about. Okay, Idaho does not exist. I have never met anyone from Idaho in my life. I met people from different states. Okay, I've met people from different states. I met people from all over the West Coast. Even I met people from, I believe I've met people from freaking Nebraska. Okay, Idaho. I've never met a single living human being who Okay. Even if I don't know people in Nebraska personally, I know people who know people in Nebraska. I have never met anyone who claims they have any connection to Idaho whatsoever.
No, Kingfish, you forgot one people do live in Idaho. Where do you think all the neo-Nazis live?
No,
Idaho?
No, they don't live in Idaho. That state actually, that area belongs to Washington. I'm not saying the area doesn't exist, but the state itself does not exist. You know what? I'm gonna fully buy into this now.
It's actually just a rift in space-time. When you go to the border of Idaho, you're just teleported to the opposite border.
I go on a date.
Explain my birth certificate then. I was born.
Wait, were you born in Idaho?
Yeah, I was born in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Bullshit.
Oh my god, we got a fucking mutant on the loose.
We got a Fed. We have a
Escaped the
Fed.
government lab.
Hey, by the way, Kingfish, I am a Fed. I'm officially a federal employee. Legitimately,
Fed.
actually.
Victor wants to be let back in.
Then
let
why should I
Victor
believe
in.
you about Idaho existing?
But
Seth.
I never lived any
Seth.
of my life in
Who
Idaho,
is
though.
Seth?
How do you know you were born in Idaho?
Hello.
Wait,
My
you only
piece of
have a
paper.
6-person limit, don't you?
Yeah, I'm here too.
Who's Seth?
My name is Seth. I live in Canada, the place of maple syrup, and I
And
make
apologetics.
yeah. I don't know what else to say. I didn't come with a script or anything. Please help.
We were talking about how the state of Idaho doesn't exist.
I can agree. You know,
And the only people in this chat who say that Idaho exists are inexplicably tied to the federal government.
Yep.
Yes. So
So I don't believe feds.
you don't believe even
Montana does not exist.
okay, yeah. I live here, but it doesn't exist. I will agree to that.
But look, I can't believe you don't have premium StreamYards.
I used to have premium StreamYard, but not right now because I don't have money.
Oh, well, you're lame and poor. I
You
spit
need
in your
money?
face.
Just
yeah,
become
okay,
a
so-
Stalin.
So we are going to, at the moment, we are right now.
Spit in Politicrat's face for being poor.
So I'm gonna share my conspiracy theory before we move on to the next thing, because I haven't gotten mine yet. George Patton was killed off by the Truman administration.
Whoa. Why do you think that?
Because he was politically dangerous.
What if
Why
Patton
was he?
became president?
I'm curious. I'm not like contesting you necessarily.
I believe it personally because of one, his anti-Sovietism and his later developed anti-Semitism, and also his criticisms of both the Roosevelt and then later Truman administrations for their conducts in the war, their conducts towards the Soviet Union, et cetera, et cetera. He has like a huge. His memoirs are published as they're called Patton's Papers, and they're a big tome of getting into his mind, and it's let's just say he was on to a lot of things, and
Why
they
was
didn't want
Patton
him.
anti-Semitic? I don't understand that. I like when I think he liberated the camps. He said something like about the Jews, like he didn't really feel bad about it. He was just like, okay.
He was anti-Semitic. I mean, before he liberated the camps, he did have writings where he had a natural mistrust, he said. But then then he was forced to attend the Jewish ceremonies, as he says, and he was absolutely disgusted by the practices. So that's why he became anti-Semitic.
Guys, so for now, since we're on the conspiracy section, technically still, I am going to share a video for the next 30 minutes. We're going to watch a video. I'll pause though so we can commentate on it.
I might have
We're
to
gonna watch-
leave like in the middle of this, by the way, because I do need to go to sleep at a somewhat time tonight.
I will
Not gonna
let
say
you go to
reason,
sleep. You have an hour and a half, but you can't go to sleep before 12:32. You can go to sleep at 12:32 EST.
All right.
What are you gonna also tell him the millisecond that you can go to
Okay,
sleep?
no, so we're gonna be watching this real quick. I don't think this is copyrighted. We're gonna be commentating on this.
I think I've seen this video before. A long time ago.
The American dream. There's a reason they call it a dream. Who's there? Cock-a-doodle-doo. No, 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 no! I don't have any more money! My job sucks right now, please! I'll have more money next month! You can't take my house! Is that your signature? Oh, okay, well, just tell me something out, okay? I mean, you said I'm a good credit guy, right? I mean, hey, wait! My dog is in there! No, don't take my dream! Oh, how did this happen?
Can I guess what year this was made?
What? 2008.
2009, 2010, I think. No?
Been a long time since.
Right after the financial crisis.
Okay, that.
Fucking
It's like I see this and I'm like, this is the type of thing only Americans make when they have a life crisis.
There's no need to concern yourself with my
This seems like such a early internet 2000s type
I
of
gotta
video.
go down to the bank.
Seems like
and
a
get my wife
thing
back.
like College Humor would have made back in the day.
No, not even that. This is like libertarian college humor.
They're libertarian?
No,
No.
do you know what this feels like? It feels like fucking Gringleberry. It feels like those shitty Netflix animated shows.
Wait, College Humor? Did you just say College Humor is libertarian?
No, he didn't. He said
Oh.
college humor if it was libertarian.
Oh, Yeah.
Wait, this is a libertarian thing?
yeah,
Oh my god.
it's go.
But
Yeah.
libertarianism, literally the boomer ideology.
Really? That's an interesting take. You really think libertarianism is fundamentally boomer?
Yes.
I no longer identify as libertarian because calling myself a libertarian lumps me in with the lolberts. So I just say I'm a classical liberal now, or I would even say I'm a conservative liberal. Like I'm a lot closer to Burke than I am to Paine, let's say.
I have no relation to any of these normie American politicians and political figures. I'm
They're
firmly
not.
on.
No. These are like European, like political thinkers, dude. You're like,
No, okay, so no. I'm just saying. So, Kingfish, as the resident Jew of this stream, you're gonna love this video because it's a conspiracy theory video, but you're gonna know why you love it.
Are they anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this is my profile picture.
oh,
vaguely,
God.
potentially anti-Semitic. I'm not gonna accuse them of being anti-Semitic, but there
Just
is.
accuse them.
There are a lot of things that people call anti-Semitic.
Oh, bank ain't gonna help you now. Towel in the trunk. Extra set of balls. Put them on. You're gonna need them. You're gonna get my dream back? No, pal. You are. I'm here to show you how. Submitted for your approval. 1. First National Bank. What is a bank, you ask? A curious place where both space, time,
I'm just gonna say, Kingfish. You know when they're talking
Lelouch
about
did
the bank.
nothing wrong. War crimes are based as fuck. The Zero Requiem was a totally infallible plan, and the alternate history totally makes sense. And alternate history hub could do a video on Code Geass.
I'm just gonna say, so Kingfish. You know they're talking about the banks. You know where they're going next, right?
Right.
Let's
And
see.
the Jews, you know, and if
The Jews.
and I'm like,
Irony
listen,
exist, and yet don't. You gonna be doing that the whole time? Pay attention, pile. Exhibit A: those who have come to deposit and safely store their earned monies. Exhibit B: those who need to borrow said money for purposes unknown. Hey, that's me! Ergo, Exhibit C: the bank only has so much money in the vault to lend out to people such as you. Hey, that's the guy! He took my house! Really screwing my vibe here, pile. Space-time continuum. He can't hear you. Just let me narrate. Now, where was I? So you see, by the time he got to you, pile, his bank was out of money. But he gave me lots of money and charged me a lot of interest. Yes, that's the only way banks make money. By making debt loans. Debt equals money, pile. Remember that. Debt equals money. The more loans they make, the more money they make. But if they don't have any money, then where did my money come from? You're gonna want to take a step back, pile. Whoa! No way! Yes way. And that's nothing. Hey, buddy, need some money?
Bum.
That. Oh, they did exactly that, pile. Remember, banks make money by making loans, by selling debt, even to bad credit risks. Yo,
What we're saying so far makes sense.
dude. Just sign here. Oh my gosh! They called it free money.
Wait a
That's
minute.
exactly what my loan guy
is
told
this
me. Free
pause the
money?
video? Is this
But
guy
it ain't
really
free.
trying to say like
Where's
you
Paul
shouldn't offer
offering?
loans to like people? You're able to charge them higher interest because they're riskier creditors. Sure, there's a
That's
higher risk at
This
defaulting,
is exactly what he is saying.
and it's like,
Wait.
oh, we shouldn't offer them. Like, yeah, you offered them. The issue with the banks, they were acting like these people were safe when they were not. It's not the fact of on principle you can't, give loans to people who, are on it,
Well, yeah, I was saying what he makes sense so far in terms of that. Yeah, the banks shouldn't give credit to people, and the banks shouldn't give credit. The only reason the banks gave credit to people weren't worthy because the government basically said, "We'll bail you out. Don't worry about it."
yeah, and that's the stupid part. But the fundamental idea of like banks
Wait,
giving
is he
people,
saying? Is that what he is saying? He's saying that people should not accept loans.
like, I don't know I don't think he's made his full point yet, but I'm getting a hint of that. And that it's kind of making me mad because I see this argument depicted a lot of times, which is generally the one of banks, because that's how people make money. They make riskier investments, which is what people who have bad credit ratings are. they're less financially stable, so you can offer them higher interest rate. That's just how the system works.
Right,
So,
that's not bad necessarily. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
Money to people who don't even need it. People power like you. You're right. I didn't need him. I was happy here. I didn't need it. Why's he sad? He's making all that money. Shh. Stink.
The video cut out.
Whoops,
Yeah,
that's my fault.
Plutocrat, you're an awful host. You
But to
can't
make
even
more
control
money,
these
they have
things.
to loan even more. More?
Can you rewind because we missed that part?
More.
Yeah.
What's that?
What are you doing,
Black
Plutocrat?
horse
You're literally
ride.
on me.
Credit card.
Plutocrat.
Photograph, we can't see the video, dude.
I know,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
Jesus.
Can you rewind to the
Yes.
part where the banker's sad because we didn't see that part?
Now wait for it. Now
A little
wait
bit more.
for it. Bingo. See, the bank is loaned to everyone in town, but to make more money, they have to loan even more. More? How much money do they need? More. Whoa, what's that? Behold, a black horse riding. Credit card.
Are you sure these guys are libertarian? They seem awfully leftist.
You can also be a right-wing anti-capitalist, just saying.
True, but no, but you can't be a libertarian or a liberal anti-capitalist. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not
Look,
in
I
any
mean, it's
school of
gonna be
liberalism,
okay.
and we lost
Everything's
Plutocrat.
gonna be okay.
And he's
What
back.
Now, pie with all this money, we might as well party.
Usury.
Oh,
To be fair, this is one of the videos that made me a libertarian in the first place, even though it's super conspiratorial.
I just hope Dream is doing okay.
I'm going to get you, my pretty.
Yep, he is. I'm sure he is. You put it on his tab. Little something for yourself. Wait. You know, wait a second, Hartman. I just thought of something. If I got this money from the bank, and the bank got it from the Federal Reserve dump trucks, go on. Then where does the Federal Reserve get their money? Real nice time, ladies. Real nice. Now, excuse me while I bow to you. Say, Hartman, why am I wearing a burglar bikini top? Because no one is allowed inside the Fed. Not you, not me, no American citizen, no duly elected member of our Congress, not the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court, not the Justice Department, not the CIA.
Not allowed, but if they wanted to, they could.
NBC,
Just saying.
not even G-O-D. How come the government isn't allowed inside its own building? Government? Ah, the Fed is a private bank owned by private stockholders. Do not let the name
That's
Federal
not
fool
true.
you. This plays about
No,
as
that is
Federal
true.
as Federal Express.
No, it's not owned by. Okay, can we like pause?
Okay,
because-
this is where we're going to argue. The Federal Reserve is intentionally called the Federal Reserve to serve as a misnomer to the American people because it is owned by private interests and you don't even know who the fuck the private interests are who own it.
Maybe some are private interests, but it is somewhat regulated by the federal government in a certain capacity. It's not
Regulated,
like-
yes, but we're not talking about regulation. We're talking about who owns it.
All right. So
The
like,
federal government owns the federal bank. The
Dude,
Federal
no,
Reserve,
okay,
sorry.
okay. It is probably a mixture of the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Van
do we know
That
this?
that is just openly like the Rothschilds. I'm not saying you are anti-Semitic, but the Rothschilds is just an openly anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Oh no, I agree. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. People automatically blame the Rothschilds when they're going for anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. I do 100% admit that.
Now,
No,
like
the
the Rothschilds didn't soil their own name by doing those things back
No,
in the day, though.
okay, but I am saying the Rothschilds did kind of ruin their own name by funding both sides of the Napoleonic Wars.
Well, the
That's all I'm
Rothschilds-
saying.
The Rothschilds aren't even Jewish anymore. They're mostly French and English by descent.
But I'm just saying. But Meyer Rothschild is actually like one of the. I respect Meyer Rothschild back from the 19th century. He was single-handedly able to basically, because European Jews, they were castigated, trampled upon, they were hated throughout most of early modern history in Europe. Meyer
Most of
Rothschild made
history
them
in Europe.
Yes, exactly. Meyer Rothschild made them a respectable name, a highly respectable name. He was a brilliant. He was a brilliant mind.
Only among the Rothschilds, and only in Great Britain, because I mean, because the Rothschilds had to flee Germany like during the Second World War. What was left of them, anyways.
No, but there are those conspiracy theories that say, "Oh, okay. I am obligated to say these are conspiracy theories. I need to say these beforehand." And I know you, Kingfish, of course, but I want to. Have you heard those conspiracy theories that say, "Oh, it was the Rothschilds that were behind the Holocaust"? Have you heard those before?
And
I have not, and that just sounds fucking ridiculous to me.
They're so stupid. Like, I mean, even somebody who's like an expert on conspiracy theories or on genocide or on any of that, it's stupid because like the motives would not line up at all. I have debated anti-Semites who have tried to make this point before.
Right. Because it's stupid. But okay, whatever. Let's continue.
Okay.
Oh, also, this reminds me, pause. A reason why Patton also became anti-Semitic was because of Henry Morgenthau. So that's also another reason I just remembered.
Who's Henry Morgenthau?
He was the Secretary of the Treasury under Roosevelt's administration, and also a Jew.
Yeah, Jews don't like him either.
Yeah,
because I think he advised Roosevelt like to not really like do anything during World War II or whatever.
No, he also advocated like literally to genocide 1/3 of the Germans after World War II.
That plan was rejected by everyone because everyone thought it was dumb.
The Nakam plan should have went through. That's all I'm saying.
What?
The Nakam plan. That is way off topic. That is way off topic. But there was a Jewish extremist group that they named themselves Nakam Revenge, and they were planning to basically kill 6 million Germans as retaliation for the Holocaust.
Yeah, and no, I would have definitely opposed that as an ethnic German. I don't care.
This is Ethan, Federal Reserve.
Hey, Bill here, First National.
Hi there, Bill. How are you?
Good. We're running a little low on money.
No problem. How much you need?
Oh, how does 20 million sound? What?
Excellent. We'll ship it over first thing tomorrow.
Wait, he can just call up the Fed and ask for more money and they give him whatever they want? No, pal. The Fed don't give the banks money. The Fed loans the banks money. The banks have to pay it back with interest. Now, come on, time to go. Wait. I still don't understand. Where does the Fed get their money? I mean, if they're a private bank. You said they're a private bank, right? Okay, so who puts money into the Fed bank?
They create it.
This is Mel, United States Mint.
Hi, ML. First National needs another 20 millis.
We're already running the presses full steam here, Ethan.
Gotta keep making loans. Gotta keep the money flowing.
All right, you're the Fed. Whatever you guys say. 20 million more by morning.
But I don't get it. What's so wrong about the Fed printing money? Because it's unconstitutional, pal. Our treasury is supposed
like the
to
Constitution actually matters with these things.
What?
No, it's a friggin' dollar that the Fed didn't print. So they print the money, then they loan it to the government, then they charge the government interest, then the government taxes you to pay for it. Wake up, pal. God, I don't see what the big deal is. So you're right. Wait a minute. Wait, I am? Yeah. I forget how effective they are at keeping you ignorant. Well, that's okay. Hey, I'm not ignorant. Do you even know what money is, pal? In the long ago, people bartered. They traded things they had for things they wanted. I'll trade you my raspberries for that there pie. No, I don't want your berries. Oh, sweet berries. They're not sweet. They're old, and I don't like berries. Give me that pie. No. As you see, This modern situation created some problems. Then one day, a goldsmith walked up and said,
Now, everybody thinks gold is valuable, so why doesn't everybody trade gold for things they need?
A price was set for gold, and now it was very easy to conduct commerce because people could trade gold for all the things they needed.
I love how they're saying like this started in the 10th century. Money is literally as old as civilization.
Yeah, I know that. No, but I'm just saying. Okay, this is actually my favorite part of this this video because it does generally explain how things work, and this is actually the video that got me into economics in the first place, as inaccurate as it is.
No, it's like not only that, but it's like, yes, it's like very clearly Middle Eastern music, and I'm like looking at this, like, are you fucking kidding me?
Honestly, I like the video isn't. It gets like. Here's the thing: the points generally it makes are right, but then when it gets into specifics, they just fumble the ball completely.
Yeah. It feels like he read for half the argument and then got bored of it and stopped reading. It's like your initial point is great, but then you're like, what the fuck's afterwards? Like the Fed being like
and then he went on 4chan and like started reading conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and he's like, and it's like, oh wow, the Fed prints money and not, okay. I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna put like $5 on the line here. I'm gonna bet they're gonna make an argument against the fucking fiat currencies. I am betting that. All right.
Well, I like that argument because fiat currencies are dumb.
No. I'm just saying that as an argument, I see where they're going with this. He's probably going to say, well, why don't we just use gold instead of having the Federal Reserve doing it? It's like, well, couldn't the Federal Reserve simply define how valuable gold is? I mean. So,
well, no, because the Federal Reserve can't print more gold.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could just simply destroy gold to reduce the quantity of it.
That would be better, honestly, because money would be worth more. The problem with the Federal Reserve is they want to give money, so they need to create more money.
Wow, this just sounds super Faustian. Oh, let's just destroy gold to make money more valuable.
Let's just keep watching.
Yeah.
Hey, stop them! That's my gold!
Damn, thieves!
Say there, Pile. I've got a vault at Ziggurats. I can keep your gold safe for you for a small fee.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. You see, Pie, this is how the first banks made money.
There you go, Pile. I owe you 100 gold coins.
Okay, great.
Come back anytime and redeem your gold when you want it. It'll be right here in my vault.
Now you're holding the very first paper money, Pie.
Wow, this is great. It all makes sense.
Oh, that's right. It was good. And everybody started using IOUs because everybody knew the IOU was as good as gold.
Wow, this candy is really a good price. 1 IOU. I'm getting some more for later. Hey, wait a minute. It was just 1 IOU.
Inflation.
10 IOUs for chocolate? You can't just raise prices like that.
Oh, the Candyman can.
Oh, the Candyman can. Wait, that is just freaking wrong.
It's called inflation. Makes your
I knew it. Inflation.
Less and less until they are worth nothing. This bank.
I don't get what this has to do with.
But I worked
Wait a
hard
second.
to
Can you
keep
pause
up
for a
my
sec?
price.
If they're saying paper money causes inflation automatically,
No, they're not saying paper money causes inflation. This is a separate point.
No, but they're saying like they're raising prices after the IOUs became things, which is basically what paper money is. But the paper money, like this didn't really become a problem until we started disconnecting the value of paper money from gold. The paper money was just, this is what we trade with now.
Yeah, it did. I don't like that argument. It did. If you remember Spain in the 1500s, they had this exact issue because it turns out if you have a fuck ton of gold coming from South America, you can have so much gold becomes fucking worthless.
That's not the argument they're making, though.
Yeah, well, I'm just simply saying that, like, the point of
you completely.
Oh my god, I really don't give a shit about economics.
Yeah.
It's not the point they're making there. They're not talking about gold becoming more expensive. They're talking about paper money inherently making things more expensive.
And that's where I agree with you, dude. I was just kind of a correction.
I'm shutting both of you guys the fuck the fuck up. We're gonna finish this and get to the
All
next
right.
topic.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now I have to work harder to make less? That's not fair. Oh, if you think that's not fair, you're gonna love the next part. What's he doing? How do banks make money, pal? By making more loans? Oh, that's right. He's good. See, he prints more IOUs without any more gold, loans them out for interest, makes a pretty penny, and nobody is the wiser. Yes. Everybody wanted the gold back at the same time. No. That's my goal. Not anymore. What are you talking about? I'd like to redeem my IOUs, please. Thank you very much. Hey! I want my gold back now! Thief! I love the bank run, bringing people together. See, they all found out he was stealing and made a run of the bank and demanded their gold, but as you can see, there ain't no gold to get. Hardman, don't worry, pal. Back in these times, vengeance will be yours. 3 things in this world you don't do. Never mess with another man's woman. Never mess with another man's ego. And most importantly, you never mess with another man's money. Else, the man will mess with you. My God! You hung him? Yes, pal. Oh, we hung him. We hung him high. And do you know why? Well, because he was a thief? Because, pal, an evil invention was born. Man discovered how to turn worthless paper into gold. Thus was invented the ultimate machine.
Oh, no.
Oh no!
Oh. Okay, they just went from like they made generally a good point, and then they're like the Jews. I don't mean the Jews. I mean the Rothschilds, guys. They're definitely not the same thing. Don't worry.
This is why I knew you'd love it, Kingfish.
No.
Oh no! That's.
Explain.
Isn't this the perfect Halloween video for this channel?
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Just knowing the content of this channel, this is the perfect Halloween video.
Clear power plant.
And then you have somebody here that has like no interest in finance.
Okay, but what's this have to do with
3, 2. Holy atomic energy! A discovery more powerful than anything man had yet conceived. It can be used for good or evil. Now, unlike Einstein, the goldsmith's discovery has been kept a closely guarded secret. It was never intended for you to see. This discovery is called fractional reserve banking. In the wrong hands, it's more powerful than the nuclear bomb in its ability to completely and utterly destroy a nation who is subjected to its perversion. No. It is time we stop this evil secret and the men behind it. You're being ridiculous. Before America is destroyed forever. Eat it, leave it, pop. No. Just put the door back. Damn it. That's it. I give up. Let them live in chains. No. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
Based.
Jefferson? Mr. President,
Disgusting quote.
Man, as we did, son, remain vigilant. Too many have hidden the truth, and the light of our liberty dims with every passing day. Quickly, take my horse. Show him.
Yeah, he also endorsed the French Revolution, so he's fucking disgusting.
Fuck the French Revolution.
Oh.
The American Revolution was based, the French Revolution sucked.
No, the
French
American
Revolution-
Revolution, both revolutions were cringe.
There it is.
Okay, here's where it is accurate.
Rich bankermen from Germany flying under the banner of the Red Sheet. They finance both sides of the war. We must hurry. That's him, the Red Shield courier. Shoot him. No.
How they call him? I love how they call him the Red Shield.
What? He beat everyone back with the news of the war and told England that Napoleon won. The Red Shield backers in London pretended that England was doomed and started selling their English stocks. The English went into a selling frenzy to get rid of worthless English money. But
So, Kingfish, I have a question for you. Kingfish,
Sure.
What?
is this an anti-Semitic cartoon?
You have a guy on
Okay.
a horse being told to shoot a symbol of Jews.
Okay. I don't think they're trying to be anti-Semitic. I don't think they're saying the Jews are the issue, but they're definitely pushing an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Oh God.
Okay, fair point. I just wanted to ask what your opinion on it. Was overall.
Like, I don't think if you ask the creators of this if they hate Jews, they're like, no, we don't hate Jews. The Rothschilds, though, they're a bank. Yeah, that's like, yeah, I know you think that's true, but it stems from anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Well, it's had that the Rothschilds dirty their own name, so it's like it passes over anti-Semitism at a point. So, like, the whole anti-Semitism charge is pretty loaded.
But it was a trick by Red Shield. They waited until the stocks plummeted to pennies and then bought England back for nearly nothing. What? They did that? How? When the English leaders found out, they had no choice but to give themselves over to the Red Shield. Their money was gone.
Bullshit.
They were slaves to the Red Shield war debt.
That's bullshit.
The English have been paying their national taxes directly to the Red Shield.
That's so not
That
true.
is so bullshit.
That is bullshit. I don't
Can I
even know
tell
where
you
they
the
got
worst
that
thing?
from.
No, can I tell you the worst thing? This isn't even the first time this happened in England. There was the South Sea bubble that was even worse. There was a company that was essentially worth a few $1 trillion in our equation that was made off of pure speculation. And it destroyed England's economy.
This is just like, where are they getting this from? This is
Nowhere.
not true.
At all. I don't know where they're getting it from. Maybe the South Sea bubble, but...
Like, because the other things were at least historical events that they said, oh, we're attributing this to the Rothschilds, which, okay, I don't like the argument, but at least this actually happened. This is just complete made-up bullshit.
Yeah.
No comment because I hate the concept of money.
I can agree if that's him.
No idea. But the bankers bragged about what they did to us, laughing at us all the way to the bank.
Why, it's the best business I've ever done. If I can control a nation's wealth, I care not who makes its laws.
Oh, is this what Jefferson wanted to show me? No. Look. They're in America, too? The Red Shield banks are here, Pie. Seeking a way to conquer our American dream. The dream you had, Pie. The dream of free men. They tried to take over our country many times and failed because Jefferson and the Patriots vowed to stop the evil tyrants at all
What
costs.
the fuck is he talking about? No, come on. No, you have to pause this.
Eternal God, he would not let the bankers win again. To preserve.
What the fuck is he wait a second. No, he's not actually claiming that the American Revolution was an anti-Rothschild coup against domination over England. He's not actually claiming that. No fucking way.
I'm just gonna say, the only way we could possibly make this is like maybe it's a statement about the early fights between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. I mean, if we're being charitable. Yeah, I honestly don't know how to spin this otherwise.
Well, like, what he's actually claiming that the American Revolution, it wasn't a thing from about the, King George III getting, trying to reassert some of his powers as the monarch, and, the founders being free Englishmen didn't want that. No, he's claiming it was an anti-Rothschild revolution. That is hilarious.
I don't know anymore.
Dude, I can't. Okay, continue the video, please.
I just want to hear what you guys have to say. That's pretty much it.
It's ahistorical in every regard. He's saying this bullshit. And wait a second. He's contradicting himself because he claims the Rothschilds only took over England after the Napoleonic Wars. Right? The revolution took place, started in 1775 and ended in 1783. The Napoleonic Wars took place from like 1803
No,
to 1812.
I think this is specifically Alexander Hamilton's attempt to make a central bank. I think
No.
this is what he's trying to get to.
1799 through 1815. But yes, I think.
I think that's what they're
Calhoun.
referencing, and it's like
I think Calhoun has a point. Yeah.
I think
No,
so.
but they said they tried to stop it from. Okay, fine. Let's see what they say.
It's it. So like, let's let this play
Of
out.
our independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our choice between economy and liberty or profusion and servitude. Wow. I place economy among the first and most important of Republican virtues, and public debt is the greatest of the dangers to be feared. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes.
We must have a central bank to secure this country's finances.
If the American people ever allow private banks to control the
Yep, I
issue
knew
of
it.
their money, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of their property until their children will wake up homeless on the very continent their fathers conquered.
Jefferson, you're mad. This country will have a central bank.
Who's that? America's first Secretary of Treasury.
Alexander Hamilton?
Not for long. Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson's vice president. They didn't take too kindly to our first
This is
treasury.
before. This is before Hamilton.
Aaron Burr sucked.
Central bank only
Are they
lasted
really
20
trying to
years
put-
and was shut down.
Aaron Burr is based.
Aaron Burr sucked.
Andrew Jackson.
I hate all these people at this era of America. In fact, I hate everybody in every era of
By
America.
the eternal God, I will rout you out.
You fight in their army.
I do, but that's because I don't know. I genuinely enjoy the army.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Kill the bank.
And those were his last words. I killed the bank. And with real money backed with real gold, our country experienced the greatest boom in any nation's history. Oh, it was beautiful. Wow. But the bankers, greedy for more power and wealth, were concocting their most ambitious plan yet to once and for all take control of the finances of the United States. In 1910, a secret meeting was held at the J.P. Morgan estate on Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia. This meeting was so secret, so concealed from government and public knowledge that the 10 attendees used code names.
I am clearly the richest man, so I should be the one to run the super secret central bank. I own all the oil in America. I'm clearly richer than you will ever be, hula girl. I should run the super secret central bank. You're nothing compared to me, lube job. I shall run the secret bank.
Silence!
Supreme Master Leader, I didn't know you were gonna be here.
I'm not. Neither are you, dumbass.
Oh yeah, right. He's so smart.
None of you shall run the bank. We have failed in the past because of openness. This time, the key to success is secrecy. The people must believe that they run the bank.
Yes, brilliant. A sneak attack. What's the plan?
We first create panic, then we show them the solution. With our man in office and well-planned timing, we will have our central bank. And so the people think it is theirs. We shall christen it Federal. The Federal Reserve. They struck on December 23rd, 1913, when most of our Congress were at home eating fruitcake.
What were you saying?
I have nothing to say. This is just fucking retarded.
Entire video.
I mean, the concept of a central bank is not intrinsically bad in itself, but I would say the Federal Reserve is a very malicious institution because it is not a government-owned central bank. You always need, if you don't have control over your own money supply as a nation, then you're not truly independent. I mean, that's what Weimar discovered pretty early on. Like, it didn't take him long, and then Walter Frank was like, "Yep, we're renationalizing the central bank again. So, if the feds actually wanted to, they could use power to actually nationalize the Federal
Their
Reserve.
newly elected accomplice, Woodrow Wilson, who had fortuitously already agreed to sign it before he was even elected.
Wait, the IRS? I thought we always had the IRS.
No, pal. They did this to us too. The Fed now has the exclusive power to print America's money. They loan this money to our banks and our government at interest, putting immediate debt on our own money, printing more and more, so each dollar they print becomes worth less than the one before. Merry Christmas.
What in the hell is that?
That, pal, is how our government now must pay back these debts to the Fed. Your taxes do not go to your government.
They don't?
It's the greatest theft in human history.
But
Well, it's partially
I mean,
true.
I sort of get what you're saying, but it's also confusing and really hard. I don't see how it affects me at all. If I had more money, none of this would have happened. Harvard? 1955? Wow, what are we doing here?
Oh, a little bit of shopping. Here, hold this. Gallon of gas, 23 cents. Postage stamp, 3 cents. Ounce of gold, $35. Hot baby. Prices. Best be getting back.
Hey, Hardman! I need my car, man! Oh, was that Michael J?
Yeah, he'll be fine. Now, pal, would you agree that you have the same exact things you had in 1955?
Yeah, 1 stamp, 1 gallon of gas, 1 ounce of gold, and 1 home. Wow, we just made a lot of money.
Right.
Hey!
Gotta pay your taxes, but it's nice to have made all that money.
Wait, that isn't fair. Now I actually have less money. I can't even go buy the things I just sold.
The IRS and the Fed's inflation work together, pal. They aren't just taxing gain, they are taxing their inflation. You are no richer than you were in 1955. Now, does that sound fair or American to you?
Yeah, but I mean, who doesn't hate taxes? I hate the IRS anyway.
Pal, the higher they make the inflation, the more your money they take. It's thievery. You're not paying taxes on any more. You are paying taxes on the same. And now, you have less. They take our property away right in front of our eyes, just like Thomas Jefferson said they would.
What's that?
Oh, they found us! Quick, a sword!
What sword?
We don't need your banking machine. I'll condemn you to die, damn it. Die! Pile! Don't I keep Bogey on my knife. Take him at his knees!
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
What's happening? Where am I?
I believe perhaps you understand now, pal, but you are afraid.
JFK. Hartman, what does this have to do with my house and my dog? Oh, okay, that's enough. I want to go home now.
This is the last president to stand up to the Fed. You must see.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, this is accurate. This is pretty accurate. This is the most accurate part of what this video.
Executive order empowered the U.S. Treasury to issue real money without the Fed. It would have worked. Kennedy's plan to dismantle the Federal Reserve machine had begun. 6 months later, John F. Kennedy went to Dallas and never returned.
No way. No way they could do that.
The new president, Lyndon Johnson, threw out Kennedy's order. Since JFK, no president has dared confront the secret power. Reserve. They consolidate bigger and bigger banks, print more and more money, accountable to no one, decimating our nation's wealth for the benefit of a few.
Why? Why do this? If they hurt us, it hurts the global bankers too.
No, they are protected. They I'm too big to fail. But I'm not. Those sons of bitches! Sons of bitches all. The day was cold. The wind sharp and strong. But we were determined. The bankers and their parasites had us vastly outnumbered, but their hubris made them weak. Not like us. Not like this band of immortals we have assembled. We have come to take back our... Hardman? Is that? My dog. Oh, Then the inevitable. The Money Kings could ignore us no longer. They sent an emissary, a cog in their machine of greed to bring about our submission. Hank Paulson.
Hardman, this is blasphemy. We own the corners of the earth. It is futile to challenge us.
Oh, I've seen that look before. That of a predator taking in the scent of its prey. Bold, fearless, the look of a free man.
You have come far, Hardman. Farther than most. Be smart now. Join us. We will bring you money, power, everything you want. You can be one of us. If you will kneel.
It's so fucking retarded.
Man, you're a madman. We're offering you everything. What do you think this is? This is America!
That's not the full quote.
Well, everybody always selectively quotes people, so.
Well, that was the most retarded thing I've ever seen. I'm going to go to sleep now.
No, don't. Okay, we want to see you comment on what are your thoughts on that? Was that an anti-Semitic video?
I already said it wasn't. It's perpetuating a conspiracy theory that has its roots
There is a
in
difference between-
anti-Semitism, but it's not anti-Semitic. Like, I don't think if you ask any of the people in that video, do you hate Jews? Or do you think that Jews are complicit in this? I don't think they would say yes. But
Do you know
like,
who
at the
don't-
same-
Okay, I just want to say.
that was retarded. That was
Do you know
the
who
most retarded
donated
thing.
money? Do you know who donated money to help that video happen?
Oh no, like David Duke or something?
No, not quite so bad.
Okay, who?
I'll give you two other examples.
I don't know.
No, I'll give you two other guesses. That's what I meant.
Was it the fucking people who made Freedom Tunes?
No.
No, Freedom Tunes was like a teenager when this came out, I think.
Yeah. I'll give you two other choices.
I don't
Conspiracy
know.
theorists. That's all I'm going to say. Conspiracy theories.
David Irving?
Nope.
Alex Jones.
Yep. Alex Jones
Yeah.
helped finance that video.
Of course he did.
Fucking kid.
Of course he did.
But that is actually the video that got me into economics, believe it or not. As wrong as it is, I love that video for at least getting me into that specific subject matter.
You respect the video, but like you see it's wrong now about basically
Absolutely. It's fun to watch too. It's well put together.
Oh no, definitely is.
I mean, yeah, I look at it, but I'm like, what the fuck was the ending?
Okay, it became chaos at the end. The first 2/3 were good, but then it just became like 300. Like even in 2010, that's 3 years. That is 3 years made irrelevant. Like after 3 years. So.
What the
All right, can I go to sleep now?
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm also gonna go back.
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
Bye. It's like 5:50 for me, so I really need to go.
See you guys.
I could see Ron Paul funding it, but speaking of Alex Jones and like this whole finance thing, it's like they literally tried to pull a fiat currency thing with his recent conviction by that fake court and that fake hearing and all that stuff. It's like they charge him nearly $1 billion.
Yeah, no, he doesn't even have that much, too.
Well, exactly. It's just a way to send a message. I know that, but it's like also it's like this idea that money just doesn't exist. It's like it does exist. I hate money, but I do admit that it exists.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, if I could have my utopian world, it would be totally without money, and it'd be like back to feudalistic style economics, and the only type of money would be used by the merchant caste between cities.
So okay, let's talk about conspiracy theories right now. What other conspiracy theories besides the Jews control the banks conspiracy theory do you like?
Well, Harry S. Truman deliberately chose Hiroshima and Nagasaki because they were Catholic archdioceses in Japan, the only two Catholic archdioceses in Japan.
Why? Because he was a Freemason. Do you think that's why he destroyed them?
Yes.
and you know why I think that's funny, right? I'm not going to even say anything more, but
because you're joining the Masonic Order.
I'm not even going to say anything that. I cannot say anything more in response to that. But
at least not live. I know that.
What are you drinking tonight, Kilhoon?
I'm not drinking anything because
go get a beer.
No, I'm honestly not, because I'm trying to paint and I need a steady hand.
Wait, what are you painting?
Warhammer models.
Okay, go get some Adderall then.
No.
Wait, you have ADHD, don't you?
No.
Okay, then never mind.
Why did you assume I have ADHD?
I don't know. You seem all over the place sometimes.
I'm all over the place when I'm online, and I would kind of say that my mind kind of does jart around things, but I don't have ADHD. It's more of the how do I say, the creative soul. You're always kind of thinking of new things all the time, and like the philosophical soul, like that's just kind of how I think. I don't know.
That's fair. Okay, anyway, so ghosts. Let's talk about ghosts. You're a Catholic. What is the Catholic opinion on ghosts? Because I realize, at least from my opinion, or at least from like what I've read, the Protestant Reformation completely killed the idea of ghosts into thinking that ghosts were just like figments of the imagination, or anyone who saw ghosts was like a fucking heretic or something. Whereas back in the Middle Ages, the idea of ghosts and seeing ghosts was fundamentally tied to the concept of viewing people who were in purgatory. Like, for instance, the entire story of Macbeth is the entire story of Hamlet. Hamlet is a fundamentally Reformation story. It has to do with the Reformation and the mindset of somebody who's trying to struggle between his Catholic beliefs with his Protestant beliefs, trying to reconcile what the truth actually is. So is Hamlet actually seeing these ghosts? Is Hamlet actually seeing the soul of his father in purgatory? Or is he just delusional, and is he a heretic from a Protestant perspective? And of course, his Protestant side ends up winning in the end in Macbeth, or fucking Hamlet. I'm sorry, but like you know what I mean here, right? Like the idea of seeing ghosts is fundamentally Catholic as opposed to Protestant, in which it is the concept of ghosts not existing, which is a Protestant concept.
I would agree. I mean, I don't know the official, I don't know what liturgical council discussed the phenomena of ghosts, but I mean, I would fundamentally agree with your assessment there, and I do generally believe that ghosts are actually souls in purgatory, as part of their punishment. I don't know why they manifest, but they do. I just kind of accept. I'm kind of one of those Catholics that doesn't need to be told everything, but I generally do have a mystical mind enough where I can kind of just know. It's like, okay, those are things that are beyond my comprehension. It's kind of like the Catholic soul. Like, we don't need to know everything because there are some things that are beyond our rational mind, some things that are beyond explanation in the material sense. And that's kind of where like the Protestant mind frame, like they always try to rationalize it down. They always try to explain it away. And they're very hubristic with their own theology. So they can never...
Here's the difference, though. Catholic. No, here's the big. So I think Ben Oakland makes a good position when he says Catholics are more into the supernatural, but at the same time, Catholics don't believe in witches, but Protestants do. That seems to be the one exception.
Well,
magic.
Yeah,
Protestants
yes.
believe in magic.
No, because actually, like if you go to especially the exorcist priests, they actually do admit that there are things like as hexes and dark forces that men can try to use. So like, no, it's not. The Protestants aren't the only ones that talk about witches. Like you go to the exorcist priests in the Catholic Church, and they also talk about it as an actual real phenomena in the world. And it actually does have tangible worldly effects. So, debunked. Father Chad Ripperger, if you're on YouTube, he's actually like a really good source. He's an exorcist priest that does sermons and lectures online.
So okay, I have a question for you. Would you ever become a priest?
No, it is not of my dispensation of soul.
What's funny is I have a friend. I'm not going to say the friend's name, but I don't know if he watches or not. But I know people who know him who watches it. But he said he's two bad breakups away from becoming a priest. And I thought that was really funny. And I've said, you know what? If I'm not married by the age of 40, I'd become a priest. Like I'd consider that.
Okay, Ben Oakland. Catholics believe in witches. My wife thinks mouse holes are walls. Hexes. Yeah. I mean, I always am a bit skeptical, but I never outright deny it. Because you always need a heavy. Because some people are just too, let's just say, superstitious at times, but there is actually like a rationale behind superstition. Sometimes it actually is valid. So that's why I actually do take things like as if people say that they are trying to put a curse on somebody, like say a Wicca woman says, I'm going to hex somebody, I take that seriously.
You think Wicca women are going to hell?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I know some who are who know better, and they deliberately go into it as a rebellion, which that's what sin is. Like the first sin was rebellion.
Was rebellion against God, of course. I mean, I'm saying this from an objective perspective because this is not an inherently religious stream. This channel is not a religious channel, but as much as my Crusader profile picture says it is right now. But but objectively speaking, the entire concept of original sin was a rebellion against God, like the initial rebellion against God. You see that too with Prometheus, also in Greek mythology. It's a fundamentally human concept of rebellion against the gods. Like it's not just found in Christianity.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's why I kind of get into perennialism, even though I'm a Catholic and the Catholic Church teaches against perennialism.
Dude, there have been honestly, there are so many perennialist Catholics. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that is even Catholicism copes sometimes to try to hold a monopoly on things. Like, I do think that truth does transcend religion. And here's where you and I might disagree somewhat, but we're deep down, you and I both know on a deeper level, you and I agree on this.
I do, but not like I'm going to accept just alien religions. I'm not that type of like perennialist.
No, yeah. I'm totally with you on there.
I'm the perennialist that will look for like signs in things, like say the Protestant having like a mystical event. It's like, I won't deny that he's not having that. I'm going to deny that he actually knows what the fuck's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially like, when especially low church Protestants try to like essentially make Trump like Christ, essentially. Like they want a Christ-like figure, they want a patriarch, they want that authority, and they ultimately want a king. It's like, and it's something that they don't realize, and they just kind of cope.
No, they don't want a king, they want a Caesar.
Well, they do, but they want that patriarchal figure to tell them, to essentially guide them towards the future. And most of them try to cope and say, "Oh, well, I'm still I'm a good American. I'm a conservative. I love the Constitution." It's like,
they don't love the Constitution. They want a Caesar.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to tell them this. It's like, but it flies over their head because they're going to be locked in the frame that they were raised in, which, I mean, most peasants, that's just what they're meant to do. Like, their orientation is not to anything higher. They're just kind of meant to regurgitate what they're told their entire lives. And so I don't blame low church Protestants for like a lot of their superstitions and a lot of their kookier stuff, because it's just frankly like the logical extent of the epistemology of especially low church Protestantism.
So who's Ben Oakland? Catholics believe in witches. My wife thinks mouse holes in the wall or hexes from witch, and gets holy water for the house.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a good wife. I would say that. I mean she's doing her natural mission in life, her lot, by doing that too. So don't sweat on that. But the official definition, especially in the Middle Ages, like there's a lot of different ways to be accused of witchcraftery. Only some of them I actually know about, which includes the production of abortion medication to kill the infant, which that's where the trope of the witch's brew came from, which that was to end human life prematurely in the womb. That's what that was for. That witch's brew. So yeah, there's a precedent. So honestly, like you can call abortion doctors witches. So
I'm guessing Ben Oakland. I don't know if Ben Oakland's still watching, but I'm guessing that's what he does. He refers to abortion doctors as witch doctors.
Yep, that they're witch doctors, and I'm not advocating violence, but the medievals really knew how to deal with witches.
But witch burnings, that didn't really happen until the Puritans.
It did happen in the 30 Years' War period. There's a lot of witchcraft burnings, because a lot of let's just say the Catholics and the Protestants were both out looking for the other team, and they a lot of times ran upon actual witches along the way. So
what is an actual witch? Explain.
Well, like I just explained, like that's one of the ways, but also like murdering your husband could get you accused of witchcraftery, because that is the taking of a life, which is the taking of a life, and murder is abhorrent and unnatural and of the devilry nature. So, and then there's a few other ways. I'm not remembering them off the top of my head. But generally, there actually were pretty strict guidelines to what could actually amount of witchcraftery and what was just a crime, essentially.
So Ben Oakland is saying that his wife is from Ecuador, and that he grew up in a self-proclaimed witch capital of the United States. In middle school, kids would try and open up the temporal plane. I don't know what that means, but Kilhoun probably does because you're a papist. Explain.
So the temporal plane, I mean, so you're an Anglican. You honestly should know about this just as much as I do.
I do. I've just been drinking a little bit. That's why I'm
Okay. So the temporal plane is well, how do I explain it? It is our reality. It is our temporal world. And then it is like the duality of man. Like, you know how man is both soul and body? It's,
Yes.
well, reality is like that too. Reality it's the spiritual and the temporal, the physical and the metaphysical. And that's where the whole idea of bridging the temporal and the spiritual plane, because the demons and angels and God, they are fundamentally spiritual creatures. Well, I mean, not God, actually. God transcends both. I misspoke there. But you know what I mean. Like, these things are absolutely real, even if they don't have a tangible body, which is something that, like, especially atheists can't they can't comprehend very well, because they can't comprehend anything outside of the physical, anything outside of the periodic table, essentially. Well then people, especially like all religions, all cultures had the concept of the temporal and the spiritual. Like, this goes back to ancient Greece, this goes back to ancient Rome, the Vedic civilizations, China, everywhere has this idea of there being a spiritual and temporal. How divided they are tends to differ based on, but many of them do maintain a perennial understanding that they tend to actually be a very thin layer, because, like, your conscious is, like, in classical Christian theology, your guardian angel warning you against certain actions and misnomers. Well, then your rational mind tends to be demons trying to tempt you into sin, which they typically like to use the rationale to do so. Because, like, that's how Adam and Eve were prone to sin. Satan appealed to their rationalism. Oh, well, God is just trying to keep you from obtaining all knowledge, and why are you lesser than him? Yada yada. You know, just I'm also getting tired for theology, but I'll soldier forth on this.
That's fair. Okay, so let's move on to the supernatural. Have you had any supernatural, interactions within the past 10 years that you remember?
In the past, I have to actually go slightly past 10 years, which is 11 years. It was shortly after my grandfather died, but I generally do believe that he haunted his own house, because I definitely could feel that there was a presence there that, you know, you just can't explain. It's not rational. There's nobody physically there, because I lived in his old house for a little while when I was a kid, because my father bought it for, well, he kind of inherited it. He split it with one of his other brothers, but so we were living there, and I just always felt this other presence. And there's just also some weird stuff that would happen, like radios would randomly turn on. One time the TV would just randomly turn on to his favorite channel, which was Fox News, which I was just like, this is it was off. It was off. Yeah, he was a boomer.
Was he a boomer? He was a boomercon?
Yes, he was a boomercon. Do you want to know how many years he spent in North Dakota?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Strange seconds. Before you go, Kilhoun is telling the story of how his Republican uncle,
grandfather,
Republican. Okay, actually, start over. It has to do with Fox News.
Okay, well, as I was saying, I was living in my grandfather's old house after he died, with my father, and I just always felt this otherworldly presence. I don't know. I just felt like there's something else there, and it was just I couldn't really explain it, but just this other presence. And there was weird occasions that would come on, like say there was this little tiny radio that we didn't even know about in the house that just randomly turned on one time. One time the TV turned on to his favorite channel, which was Fox News, like all of a random, and it was just weird. So I generally do believe that he haunted his own house for a time, probably because that was his period in purgatory, which
he was a boomer con, right?
yes,
That's so fucking fitting. Can I just say? It's my goddamn house. I'm gonna haunt it for as long as I damn please.
Well, yeah, he
God bless him.
For context too, do you want to know how many terms he served in the North Dakota House of Legislation as a Republican?
Oh, how many?
19.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was there for 38. I think it was 38 years. Or was it 40? I don't know if he capped it off with an even 40, but it was a long time. And then he was even House Speaker in North Dakota for like 2 years.
Really, your grandpa?
Yeah, he was. Although it's like now I'm like super anti-democratic, and I'm like, I know.
Does he have a Wikipedia page?
No, he doesn't. Do you think the North Dakota House legislatures are going to have a Wikipedia page?
You could okay. You could probably create one.
I'm not going to create one. I'm not going to do that for Wikipedia.
And they wouldn't delete it.
I know they wouldn't delete it, but I'm not gonna do that. I don't. One, I don't endorse the Wikipedia platform, so yeah.
What's wrong with Wikipedia?
They're left-wing bias. That's essentially it, and they donate to a lot of left-wing candidates. So no, I'm not. And they also censor a lot of things too. So I don't endorse them. They're my political enemy, and I treat politics as a war. I don't treat it as like just a boxing match. I treat it as a total war.
I treat it as like as basically WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, that's the old way. That's the boomer way of politics.
Are you calling me a boomer con?
Yes, with that. With your tactics, they are very boomer con. Believing politics are just a gentleman's struggle.
So WrestleMania is a gentleman's struggle.
Well, that's how boomer cons still view it. It's like, oh yeah, we're just going to wrestle with the left for power. And we're not, as soon as we actually have power, we're not going to try to actually cement our power and establish it, unlike the left where they'll do that with all the civil service and academia and all that stuff. They'll try to get into institutions and permanently lock them down. The right is like, no, we must be civil about this. We must abide by the rules. It's like, who cares about the rules? It's about power.
Strange Seconds, ghostly experiences, if you've had it.
Not really. No. I can't really say I've had too many really like haunted experiences. Not ones that I would consider really actually paranormal. I mean, a few times when I was on psychedelics, maybe, but like I wouldn't.
Okay,
really
explain
count
those.
Paranormal.
That's something. That's something. Explain your psychedelic trips.
Man, it's been a while. I haven't even I haven't thought of that in a while.
Go ahead. Explain as best you can.
I don't know. I mean, the person I tripped with was a person who shared your name, by the way, and
was this like the super bipolar person who ended up
Yep.
getting married? Who ended up getting married and going across half the country?
Yep.
Okay, tell the story about this individual.
They were into some real weird spiritual shit, so Yeah, trips with them are interesting to say the least. But it's like it's kind of just one of those things that, like, I don't know. I just don't really think about it as much anymore.
Okay, I'll explain my supernatural experience. So I was working at a haunted house back around 2011. The house was actually haunted, and the lady who basically the actual haunted Victorian house, which was built in the early 20th century, late 19th, early 21st, or late 19th, early 20th. It was an actual haunted house, but every year, in order to raise money for like the school for autistic kids, they put on an actual high budget haunted house in the real haunted house, and local people would volunteer, as would I. So I would volunteer, and so I would volunteer. And this one year, I was with this girl named Abigail. This was like 2011. She was 13. I was maybe like, 15. And so I was like in this room called the dark room, volunteering to scare people whenever they would walk through. And so this one time when I was standing there, when I was in the dark room, there was this noise that I heard, and it was like, shh. And I was like, Abigail, is that you? Oh, what the fuck, politicrat? What are you talking about?
This sounds like a bad short story.
It does, doesn't it? No, but it was serious. It was freaky. Like, it wasn't her. It was going from one side of the room to the other, and I heard the shh coming out. And this was 11 years ago. Like, I cannot explain it to this day. That is my ghost experience.
Okay. Anything else?
No, but the house is legitimately haunted, like allegedly.
Well, I don't doubt that actually. I'm like a guy that won't doubt, because if enough people like are genuine and they actually like, if a lot of people in say a small town know a house is haunted, I will tend to believe it because.
And the lady went to my church too. The lady who apparently haunts it went to my church.
Maybe because she wasn't part of the one true church, huh? She's doing a lot of time in purgatory.
but that same lady. Well, also, do you know who went to the same church?
Who?
The guy who created the Marshall Plan in Europe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So the one that completely subjugated Europe to the USD. Great.
Yeah.
No, cringe.
I literally George C. Marshall went to the church I was raised in.
Yeah, and George C. Marshall was pretty cringe.
George C. Marshall was a good Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense, whatever it was.
Yeah, I just have a completely different opinion because I'm actually in his army that he supposedly served in, even though most of his positions were just staff positions. So.
Oh, Ben Oakland. One time on Salvia, I sucked up into a separate dimension where three beings that looked like a wizard were telling me I was not ready to purr into these worlds, and they slammed me back down into my body.
Oh, I've never done salvia. I've heard I've heard people trip out pretty fucking hard on that though.
Has anyone ever done DMT?
I've done DMT, yeah.
How was DMT?
Salvia, though. DMT is like how cartoons depict LSD. That's basically how I would describe it, in that it's like it doesn't last long. It lasts only like 15 minutes.
But it
it's, like,
feels longer.
Everything's super colorful. It feels longer. Like you actually like see like vibrant like things that aren't there instead of it just being like the world looks wavy.
I've the only psychedelic I've done is shrooms, but I microdosed, so it just felt like really, really, really strong weed.
Yeah, no drugs at all.
You do alcohol.
Yeah, well, that's because it's alcohol, and I'm of German blood, and also the Jew that was on the stream that advocated for the death of 6 million Germans. It's like, yeah, well, then you'd have pretty much just legitimized the Holocaust essentially if you would have done that to the Germans in return.
Did he actually call for the death of 6 million Germans?
He said that the plan to kill 6 million Germans should have gone through. So
that's cringe.
Yeah, that is very cringe. Like I don't even like Adolf Hitler, but honestly, that would have probably, if that would have been done to the Germans, it would have legitimized his regime.
That's kind of like going, you know how we get back at the Nazis? By going full Nazi.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what the Soviets did when they did invade Germany. Although, I mean, like, that's because they're Marxists, so everything's materialism, and when you can reduce everything down to materialism, then you can justify rape. So eventually, it's the logical extent of that thought process, because a lot of mental gymnastics. Yeah, nobody likes to talk about. I mean, there was about a genocide of 3 million Germans post World War II, mostly between 1944 and 1948, of the genocide of the Eastern Germans. That not a whole lot of people like to talk about. In fact, if you want to talk about like haunted towns, you should see like the old Prussian towns. Like, they are very eerie. And you can definitely sense that a lot of evil went down there.
Oh, because of Martin Luther?
No, I'm like the old Prussian towns, like when the Soviets completely butchered the entire populations and raped all their women and yada yada. And then they forcibly extradited all the Eastern Germans, and 3 million of them also died along the way because of the forced extraditions. So, yeah, that's why they're very eerie. And nobody should just think that history ended after World War II, because it very, very much continued post that.
I mean, Fukuyama can suck a dick.
Well, it's a liberal fallacy to think that somehow democracy, capitalism, all that stuff will bring about world peace. It's like, yeah, that's literally every utopian ideology has said that, and it's always ended up with 1 million corpses to try to bring it about.
Has democracy ended up with 1 million corpses?
Yes, look at Iraq.
That's true.
I mean, literally 1 million corpses. I think it was 1 million Iraqis died since the invasion. So, because of our destabilization of the region. And also, I think deaths directly attributed to America are only in the tens of thousands, but because of all the violence kind of caused because of the supplanting of Saddam's regime, it is upwards of 1 million Iraqis. Iraqi Arabs and Iraqi Kurds, and yeah. And also, there's no Christians in Iraq anymore, where they actually used to be a large portion of the population because of George Bush. Thank you, George Bush, the great Christian that destroyed the Christian population in Iraq.
Was George Bush a Christian? What was he, a Methodist?
Yeah, he was in one of those low church Protestants I kind of lumped together because they're all retarded. In fact, the foreign minister of France, or was it the prime minister? I forget which one, but he had to talk to the French Protestant like state church or something to try to even interpret George Bush's like ranting low church Protestant spiels about why they had to go on neocon wars to Iraq. And that's why the French were like, yeah, no, we're not joining you in your stupid neocon wars.
So if the French refused to join, did the French not join the coalition?
No, they didn't. At least not in the second war, the actual invasion.
Yeah.
Empire, yeah, liberal world order, economic trade zones with representation, still an empire. Yeah, the American Empire, which the American Empire is collapsing, which even though I'm part of the American military, I am happy to see the end of our empire, unlike a certain other person in the U.S. military that also comes on live streams, aka Paul Fahrenheit, who wants to be an American chauvinist real badly.
He might be coming on later if this stream is still going on then.
All right. Well, I won't withdraw any statements I make against the man because I definitely am just tired of hearing American chauvinism all the time.
You guys would probably make out if you guys had. Okay, I'm not even gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm sorry. I was gonna say you guys would make out if you guys actually got to meet and got drunk in person.
Hey, I'm the combat MOS out of us two, so yeah, I'm the dominant in that relationship.
How tall are you? Because he's pretty tall.
I'm 5'11".
He's like 6'4".
Oh, we're the same height.
Paul Fahrenheit and you. No, you guys would get along. In all seriousness, you and Paul Fahrenheit would get along.
We get along, but then as soon as he busts out the American chauvinism, and then I bust out my reactionary side.
No, the thing is, he's a liberal though. He's like,
but he's still like an American chauvinist. Like that's
he's like so far right that he loops.
No, he's not anywhere near the far right. Like he's essentially a radical centrist. That's it.
He's like Richard Spencer.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's like Alcazar. He's closer to Alcazar, honestly.
Yeah, but I would say he's more. I will say this: he is more coherent and consistent than Spencer was.
Oh no,
because Spencer was very kind of like, yeah, he was very much an edgelord, but he never really had like a consistent thing. He kind of had like a different like philosopher of the week. Like one time he'd be like a Schmittian, one time he'd be a Nietzschean, the next week he'd be like a back to like liberalism, but with racism attached to it. Richard Spencer was just kind of all over the place.
Richard Spencer, the only reason he's against Russia right now is because he hates his Russian ex-wife.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt that there's actually probably something more going on there besides that, but I would say yes, it's a contributing factor, but I won't say it's the only cause. Because like you can have multiple reasons for doing something, and it's like, you know, hating Russia. It's kind of like why Paul Fahrenheit hates Russia. You think so, honestly, like they're not part of the white race. It's like that. At least that's like the reason why I heard Paul Fahrenheit mutter, and he tries to say that they're really Mongols. Which I mean, yeah, they're like partially interbred, but it's like the amount of Slavic is like 90% to like maybe 10% at most Mongol. So it's kind of like a moot point. And I would say that the Russians overall have a better spirit than the Western Faustian man does. but that's just me. I do admire the Russian soul, unlike many Americans.
Yeah, it's just a difference of opinion.
Yeah. Although opinions is what shapes the world, so I don't dismiss things as just opinions. I dismiss it as worldviews. And worldviews, I mean, I kind of take like the Hitler definition of a Weltanschauung, where it's like they're absolutist religious positions, and that's how they define and shape the world. And how the fuck do we get on this tangent again?
I have no clue.
I mean, let's continue.
I don't know. Should I bust out Mein Kampf here and like read Hitler's definition of a Weltanschauung?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm actually not even. I'm trying to think of where the fuck I put that book actually.
So strange seconds. You weren't here. You were not here for the full video about the Jewish conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but that video honestly did not look like something I was gonna like watching.
Is that why you left?
Not the reason, but I did actually have like work I needed to do.
So that was the best opportunity you had.
Oh yeah, though.
So, what's your opinion on who do you think owns the banks?
I don't see why it even matters.
Well, my opinion on the banks is yes, they have power, but to what degree that they have power is the real question, and how much power. I kind of don't like the libertarians where they kind of like assume just because like, you know, they control a lot of the money supply that instantly they have all the power, because there is different types and different forms of power.
No, yeah, exactly. Like banks have quite a bit of power, but you know, laws and tanks can kind of fuck them up.
What like libertarians try to make like the Federal Reserve out to be like this sovereign entity, but it's like, yeah, technically they're not part of the federal government.
Reserve has to practically beg for permission to do practically everything it does. Like, don't get me wrong, there's times it does a lot, but it's not like it really is able to do all that just because it's like, YOLO, let's give this a shot. Like,
but like, just to like, you know, I'm gonna give the libertarians the benefit of the doubt, just for this hypothetical, this rhetorical, I'm gonna speak. So if the Federal Reserve is as powerful as it is, they control the money supply, they have all this. What's just stopping? I'm not even gonna say like the president, like even just like a Caesar within the military of like a 4-star that actually has a pair of balls, which doesn't exist, but this is a hypothetical. Just to, as you say, roll tanks into the Federal Reserve building and just say, yeah, well, you're disbanded now, and all your currency is fraudulent, doesn't exist anymore, has no value. That's literally hard power telling soft power they have no more power. It's like, that's what can happen. And libertarians don't realize that can just happen too. That hard power can just reassert control.
And this is something that banks realize too, and some billionaires. It's clear that there's some that don't, but like I'm assuming most intelligent billionaires know this, where it's essentially, yeah, they have a lot of power as long as they're allowed to have a lot of power. Basically, long story short, fuck around and you find out. Like, there's informal rules you need to play by, and if you don't, things will be made very uncomfortable for you.
Well, I mean, rules at all are as long as both parties agree to them. And then, I mean, in a truly like power politics situation with a Machiavellian epistemology, there is no such thing as these informal rules to politics and way things happen. So, like, if like say somebody gets into a position of power somewhere with hard power, I'm talking about, not soft power. Um, and then they organize. They can take out the soft power of the Federal Reserve, as I was saying, because hard power always triumphs over soft power. If the hard power is able to organize against the soft power, but if the hard power is unable to organize under like a singular force, or or at least a organized multitude of forces, then soft power actually can have a lot more influence then. So it just waxes and wanes between how centralized hard power can become.
No, yeah, it's not like the military also can't just roll in for no reason. They need a good reason to roll in, or else Turkey happens. Like, not everyone in the military will like agree or go along with it, and then that will lead to just various government forces like capitalizing on that, and then just taking any chance of any military like action happening and kind of thwarting it.
Yes and no. Partially with that statement is correct. So when it comes to the military itself, the thing is, I have seen through my 3 years in the U.S. Army that most enlisted men, they'll bitch and complain, but they won't actually defy an order from a superior officer. The officers, on the other hand, that is where you start getting into that territory if they go along with it or not. But typically, too, a lot of officers will just do what they're told as well.
Oh yeah, but I think at this point, if we're I think talking about like a large scale kind of coup like thing, like that would require multiple generals collaborating, or maybe not generals. I don't know the exact ranks, but like really high ranking officers collaborating, and that's where I could see several of them going no.
I mean, a lot of officers, like, they're technically supposed to be like the representation of the state, but the reason why like a lot of civilian governments don't trust the military is because they typically know the only people who want to become officers are typically anti-democratic in epistemology. And in the United States, they try to mitigate that by making the bachelor degree requirement a requirement to become an officer, because that gatekeeps the natural warrior caste and the people who are very anti-democratic and people who don't want to go through the liberalizing institutions. It gatekeeps them from becoming officers in this highly insular miniature culture within the United States, which the military is like its own nation. And it could become its own nation and take over the nation if it wanted to. But it is kept content by essentially a docile officer corps who are all university trained and operated. I mean, there are some officers that do break the mental conditioning that they're supposed to have, but because of that, because the requirement post the Vietnam War, you're never going to get a General Patton. You're never going to get a MacArthur. You're never going to get these great generals that we've had in the past in U.S. history, because the university system does not pump out these caliber of men. Only men that come from the war guys. Politicrat, are you sleeping? Jesus Christ, he's sleeping.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Oh. And with the stream still on too.
Well, yeah, it's still on because he fell asleep. And it's his
Oh
computer.
yeah, I know. Let it not be said the politicrat is not one a man of grace.
Well, he's an awful host. It's like, God, he should learn more from honestly AA. Academic Agent is like generally a top tier streamer. It's like, and most people
Dude,
who
look, just like I doubt will go back and watch the VOD anyway, to be honest. So I've given him recommendations all the time. He doesn't take them.
yeah, I know.
That's just the thing. It's like he's one stubborn son of a bitch, and it's like, and that's the thing. Like, I fucking work in media. Like, look, I'll be honest. Communications major. Ha ha ha. Like funny meme. I don't do math well. But at the same time, when it comes to like media, I kind of know my shit.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I don't really like civilians commenting on the military because I'm kind of that same way with the military. It's like I've spent literally 3 years of my fucking life in the military. I kind of know it.
No, yeah, exactly. Which is why, like, I have opinions, but I also acknowledge that, like, I don't think I can really claim any real, like, point about the military over you because you just have the lived experience,
Yeah, and I don't know. I just hear a lot of suppositions. Like I've heard this kind of like my entire life, but now that I'm in the military, like a lot of people like overestimate the military's ability to do things, but then also they also say like, oh, all soldiers are kind of like peons and they're all slaves to the system. It's like, yeah, they're not entirely that either. There is a independent streak, especially within the military, because it tends to attract the misfits of American civilization, the ones that don't quite want to be part of liberal democracy, tend to be drawn into the military and make up a good portion of its ranks. So they're like, it's funny.
The military is a large organization with lots of people. That's just like, I think like trying to make, my opinion is like trying to make tons of assumptions about what they can do, what they can't do, what every type of person in the military is. It's like that's just it's like that's like going and saying, oh well, and I know like a lot of people get angry at this, like saying, oh well, every Amazon worker then is just like a corporate drone who loves ass like Jeff Bezos because they don't know any better. When quite a few of them probably fucking hate the person. They just have the job because they need it. Now, there's probably more people in the military than work for Amazon. So that's an even larger group to try and draw assumptions about. Like,
Well, I mean, the thing like why I can draw suppositions about it is because I've actually lived in it.
no, exactly. Yeah, you can. It's like you have a lived experience and you're in it. So, it's like, I mean, you can't speak for every single soldier, but I've never heard you say, I speak for every single soldier when I say.
Yeah, and I hate people when they say like the military will just do this. It's like, no, that won't happen. But here's what I can tell you might happen. Essentially, that's my commentary. And like, I know the types of people. Like, say, the military. Like I just say, it draws us for the people who genuinely want to be there in the military. Like, there's some people who don't want to be there. Actually, a lot of people that don't. But the ones that want to be there tend to be white, and they tend to be part of a class of people that know that they don't belong in the civilian world, that they know that they don't want to be part of liberal democratic America. And they want something more natural to human nature. They want that hierarchy. They want that caste. They want to live out that truly. I mean, the military is kind of like it's kind of like an isolated realm of like the warrior caste in the United States.
The way I kind of see it is, and this is me being with a very personal opinion on it, because this is also based off of the stuff I've heard about with like my grandfather and stuff. And with that, it's like it's a very it provides an order that certain people really need in their lives. For instance, like pretty certain that my grandfather who served in Nam had ADHD. The reason why it basically never really bothered him until old age, military fucking discipline. He didn't need Ritalin.
But
he had he had the discipline from that.
So it's like you're kind of like missing my point here. It's like when I say like the warrior caste, I mean that literally. That men are born of the warrior caste. Men are born of this warrior soul. And they don't have a soul that's meant to be lived in a liberal democracy, because a liberal democracy is very anti-warrior caste. And very supportive of like the peasantry and the merchant caste. So that's why like the military attracts like very specific people, like you were trying to describe. But it's like it is a literal caste. Like I've studied into these things. Like every civilization besides America acknowledges that there's these natural dispensations of the soul, that different people are born with different souls, different predispensations, and it was previously organized into caste systems because it typically also followed genetically. Typically, but then you'd get occasional oddballs born outside their own caste.
Well, I have a different opinion that ironically comes to a similar conclusion. I would say, I'd say the reason it typically followed family lines was necessary. At least what I would think is, I wouldn't really think as much it's genetic as much as it is because those are the traditions that family practice for an extremely long time. They basically they had like that way of raising someone down, essentially, in a sense. And it's essentially through that tradition that's been solidified over a very long period of time that their specific family has essentially mastered the art of raising the perfect warrior or the perfect and like that's again that's coming down to basically a nature versus nurture
80% nature, only 20% nurture. That's what most sociologists agree upon. 80% is by your genetics, including those things like dispensations.
That's something at least sociologists said. I've taken a few classes on this and I've never actually seen that figure. That's why I'm hesitating here a bit, but
those are mostly state sociologists, ones that work for state research groups. That one particularly came out of the German sociologists, which corresponds with previous sociologist studies as well, from especially the German-speaking world, which they tend to have the best sociologists. Because the Germans are very systematic people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Politicrat, you're awake?
Yes, I'm awake.
Okay. You're snoring there.
I was not snoring.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, you were snoring. You fell asleep.
I was not falling asleep.
All right.
Yes, you were.
What did we talk about you? What did we say when we were talking about you?
I do not know, but you were talking about something.
Exactly. You missed it. And now we're not going to revisit that. You're going to have to just rewatch your own stream.
I suppose so.
But yeah, I'm literally getting into like the caste system and how the military is essentially the bastion of the warrior soul, that all the men that are born of the warrior caste in the United States end up going to the U.S. military, although most of the time they get disappointed by it.
How do they get disappointed?
I haven't brought up that point yet. I was just kind of going to lead into that eventually, but
Fair.
The reason why they get disappointed by it is because fundamentally, because most of the men that are naturally part of this dispensation of the warrior caste, they end up enlisting. So they enlist, and it's the rah, like the warrior caste is like in the enlisted ranks for the most part. There are a few officers I would say are part of the warrior soul, but most of them are bourgeois. And that's why they get disappointed, is because their leadership is fundamentally bourgeois. They are merchants.
Lieutenants.
What?
Lieutenants and captains.
I mean, especially when majors tend to be very bourgeois, but free will versus determinism, the great debate. Yeah, I'm on the determinist. Free will is a myth, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, because officers are fundamentally bourgeois. That's why most military men get disappointed by the U.S. military, is just because our officers are not of that warrior soul, and it's mostly because of the bachelor degree requirement, where the federal government specifically wants its officers to be of the bourgeois soul, not of a pat. They don't want Pattons and MacArthur's coming again, because that just causes trouble for the federal government.
That's fair.
Yeah, because a warrior caste and a liberal democracy does not mix. So
It just reminds me how separate my world is,
Yeah, and I'm very much in a completely different world that's tied to the Marshall. So that's how it's not how I see the world, but I have adjusted my worldview to incorporate that, because I very much did already have a very, let's just say, developed worldview before I even joined the military, and it just kind of reinforced a lot of things, actually. In fact, I kind of can see the caste dynamic and the abilities of man and seeing within it. It's like, you can kind of just see, oh yeah, he's never going to be more than a junior enlisted, that guy. Because he's too fucking, retarded. Oh yeah, you're welcome for reading your shit, Ben Oakland. Caste systems do come in every civilization. It's something that is inherent to human development, something in the soul or genome.
We have another
Yes.
Seth. We have another Seth here.
A different Seth or the same Seth?
We have another Seth here. How are you doing, other Seth?
I'm doing
Welcome
okay.
to the Halloween. Welcome to the Hallowstream.
Hi.
Hello. Have you had any supernatural experiences? Do you wish to explain?
No, not really.
No.
How old is this Seth? He sounds young.
I think it's a woman.
I'm a girl and
It's a
I'm
woman.
20.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like a little boy coming in.
Did you think I was like some 14-year-old boy? Like,
Yes.
I think it's the mic quality. I was back and forth between, is this an adult woman or a 14-year-old boy? It's one of the two.
see, these are the things that the ancient Greeks had to ask themselves all the time. Is this an adult woman or a 14-year-old boy?
The ancient Greeks didn't ask that question. They didn't care.
No, that. I was about to stop you for a second, but then I'm like, you know what? I actually think you're right.
They were like, any hole is a goal.
Yeah, exactly. They were
and-
like, cool. That's what they were like. They're just...
Same with the samurai.
No, but we were talking about conspiracy theory. Do you guys want to talk about secret societies?
If you want to.
Okay, what do you guys think about secret societies? Have you guys heard about the Skull and Bones?
Honestly, most of these secret societies follow a pattern where basically they exist as an insular community, especially these communities like Bohemian Grove, or like these organizations where basically it's like just a bunch of rich guys who want to get drunk and party. And my opinion of the whole Bohemian Grove is like people say like, oh, they get together to control the world. But like these are already powerful businessmen and heads of state. Like they don't have to meet in secret to control the world because they already do. But the thing about it is basically they want to get drunk and do stupid like stuff all the time when they're in their organization. And because of that, they
No,
don't
yeah,
want
I'm
to publicize
convinced
it.
that's what the Illuminati is, honestly. It's probably just a bunch of, like, fucking bored old aristocrats back in the day. We're like, you know what? Let's make a society where we act like we're really smart and control
No.
the world.
Most of them were bourgeois, not aristocratic.
basically-
The ancient Illuminati.
Either
Basically,
way,
people
you know,
who are-
old rich people.
Who are
Yeah, but
secretive for the
rich
sake
people
of-
aren't necessarily aristocratic.
Hey,
like
the woman's trying to talk.
I have a
yeah, but
name.
okay.
Well, we don't know. Well, we don't know if you want to dox yourself. Oh, Seth. Let's call you Seth.
You can just
Seth
call me.
wants
You
to
can just call me Seth.
Seth
I mean,
wants
I'll
to
call
talk.
you politicrat and Killhoon in strange seconds.
Okay, Seth wants to talk.
Just
We
gonna
had
say,
another
a lot of
Seth.
these
We had
secret
another Seth
societies-
on here earlier, but so.
Oh, cool! It's a revolving door. I'm eating lemon heads right now. I don't know if that makes my voice come through weird or what.
No, you just sound like you're from the South a little bit.
I'm from North Carolina, so
There you go.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think lemon heads have anything to do with that.
No.
No, they're the secret societies. A lot of them just protect like powerful people's ability to be stupid. And then once the secret's been established, people will naturally assume like, oh, what are they keeping from us? Even though it's probably just like, I don't know, the dick pics of the world elite. And I wouldn't really want all of the dumb stuff you've done to be publicized. But when you're a public figure, that's a constant risk. So honestly, most of the time it's like, I don't really think it's like private organizations like Bohemian Grove or Skull and Bones. I don't really think there's much like super nefarious going on. There are nefarious private organizations, but a lot of the ones we know about, it's basically just like, I don't know, frats for the 0.1%.
That's
so my take on it, in the modern day where they don't have to be they don't have to keep the masks on, secret societies are as you described, but in older times they actually were undergrounds of revolutionaries most of the time. So, and some sort of faction trying to seek power, an elite trying to supplant the ruling elite. So that's why a lot of these secret societies were formed back in the day. So they did have a purpose. They did have like political purposes and purposes of seeking power. But it's like, honestly, I say that they already have the power.
I mean,
now.
nowadays, just join all the cool kids and start a cult.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you know, their purposes have been fulfilled. So what are they now? They are a frat now, but back in the day, they were more than a frat. They were actually a group seeking. They were actually group seeking power.
Well, you have to consider that some of these groups, like, still count as secretive, like the elk and the moose and stuff, in the sense they don't really know what goes on within them. We're sort of founded century desire for fraternal orders that would support each other, like in terms of like financial and social support around the trade. Don't tend to think about much now is how common social clubs used to be in society in the 19th and 20th centuries. And I mean,
the only secret like
these-
major social club you have these days are the Freemasons. But other than that, like they're not.
Well,
there aren't
the
that
moose
many
and the elk
societies.
still exist. There's like a moose lodge or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
out near Centerville.
Yeah, no, I mean I know, but they're not secret in the same way as Masons for the Knights of Columbus.
I mean, they kind of
Well-
are. It's just that like I don't really think anyone cares. Like, if you have a secret,
Yeah,
no one
but
cares, it
also,
doesn't
I mean,
matter.
saying the Freemasons are like, I mean, the Freemasons, every single person I know who has any speck of connections to the Freemasons constantly blabs about it. So it can't, the secrecy can't be that much of a big deal.
Well, they don't need to be secret in America. Like that's just that's like my point.
I mean, America is fundamentally a Masonic project.
Yes, that's why, and that's also one of the many reasons why I'm anti-American.
You hate the Freemasons, I know, Kilhood.
Yes. For political and religious reasons.
You're Catholic because you're Catholic, I know.
Yes.
Have you read the book Big Secrets? Secrets and Biggest Secrets? It's a series from the 80s and early 90s by William Poundstone. And basically, it's sort of like pre-internet information of things that people aren't like supposed to know. So he created like backmask records in the 1980s when that was a thing. But he also got like for Coca-Cola, KFC Spice Mix, the original Oysters Rockefeller recipe. But then he also wrote a bunch about the initiation of various secret societies. So I mean, obviously at this point, you know, his information is like 40 years out of date, but assuming that it changed, it's all perfectly available to read. Personally, my favorite initiation ritual is probably the Knights of Columbus. Mostly because it involves fake priests, fake blood, people shooting, somebody passing out, mock trial. It's pretty much a big, silly theatrical production, or at least it was at one time.
Kilhoon, are you a Knight of Columbus?
No, but that's because I don't expect to be in an area permanently, so I'm not going to commit to one Knights of Columbus group.
I can see you in Knights of Columbus though. You're a good Catholic. You're into this esoteric shit, and that's it.
I'm like a 3 out of 10 good Catholic. I'm not that great.
Okay. So if you're a good Catholic and you say you're a 3 out of 10 good Catholic, that means you're probably more like an 8 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie. If you actually admit to being a 3 out of 10, and that means you're an 8 out of 10. Because a 3 out of 10 good Catholic would say they're an 8 out of 10.
I'm humble enough to know my weaknesses and failings, essentially, unlike other people in the church. That's just essentially my stance, and I won't take like that 8 out of 10 to heart ever because I don't believe it. But
this isn't about religion.
But I do appreciate the compliment.
Anyway, Will, would you ever join a secret society?
I mean, I never joined a frat. Probably, I wouldn't join without good reason. It's not something I'd ever seek out, but like, I don't know. I haven't really looked into secret societies that much.
What if I was knocking on your window right now and I was like, "Hey, Strange Seconds, just like, let's start a secret society," and then we start like a blood pact, and you and I both like get a pocket knife. You grab you grab Claudia, I grab Helen.
I'll pass on the blood oath.
No, we have to like share each other's blood.
Yeah, I know the whole like Viking dealio thing, the blood brothers thing.
That's a good way to get AIDS, though.
In our degenerate age, where you have to watch out for AIDS.
Anyway, Seth. So wait, what were you saying your favorite secret society is?
My favorite secret society initiation is the Knights of Columbus initiation.
Is your
like,
family
or at least it
Catholic
was.
originally?
Apparently, they've changed it. But
is your family originally Catholic?
It used to be kind of theatrical and involved a bunch of actors, and like a trial and stuff. I don't know. It involves like fake priests, all that kind of thing. This sounds more fun than most secret society initiations, which are pretty run of the mill.
It's fair, but then,
Yeah.
but then Calhoun, so you know about what do the Knights of Columbus actually do? That's the thing. You're the Catholic here.
Honestly, my
I mean,
impression of the Knights.
they do Okay, so they do funerals, they do charities, they tend to do the heavy lifting at the local parish that they're based out of. So like if there's any like say I
Lay
don't
stuff.
know. Yeah, always stuff like say men's groups are typically organized by the Knights of Columbus, even if the men that show up aren't part of the Knights. What else? Like I said, just mostly charity. And then when the Mexican government tries to kill all the Catholics in Mexico, like in the Cristero War, the Knights of Columbus take up arms and they actually become cool.
Aren't like Mexican drug cartels killing like priests now or something? I thought I read something about that.
I mean, I don't really think that the Mexican drug cartel cares about who they kill.
I've never heard of that because in some places, like it's kind of cartel to cartel. Because I've heard of some cartels actually like enforcing Catholic social teaching in their areas of control. So it's like it waxes and wanes, while then other ones are just completely degenerate.
So okay, what about like if this is Breaking Bad? If this is
Have
Breaking
you
Bad
seen
right here.
what?
Well, I was about to talk about Breaking Bad, but yeah.
Oh no,
you
I
were
was just
saying?
gonna say, have you seen the like video that was circulating? I think it happened just a couple days ago. I forget which city it was, if it was Ciudad Juarez or Guadalajara or what, but basically, one of the cities with cartels, which is like most of the cities in Mexico to some extent, but you know what I mean. There was this taxi driver who got decapitated by the cartel, and they like left his body parts near. And this like stray dog picked his head up by the neck and was across the city with it. And some person was like, "Oh, look, there goes the dog!" And then they, oh my God, he's got a head, and then after him trying to get him to like drop the human head that he was carrying. It was on Reddit.
Well, okay. So is it verified though? Because I mean, Reddit. When I hear Reddit, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about Reddit.
I think it was on like I'll look it up. I think it was on one of the Narco subreddits. I think it. What?
I don't know. Sometimes you got to take Reddit with a grain of salt, though. That's my only thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I also say like Reddit kind of like is a gateway to the deepest, darkest soul of this degenerate age, essentially.
We're all
Well, it was reported on in the Toronto Sun, so I guess if it was reported on in the Toronto Sun.
Whenever I hear like Sun in a news Reddit or like news Reddit, whenever I hear Sun in like a news like paper name, I get skeptical because I always think of like British newspaper, the Sun, which is basically just a tabloid.
It says it happened in Zacatecas. And the police were able to get the head away from the dog, so that's good. I'm glad there was a happy ending in that regard.
I wouldn't call that a happy ending, Seth.
I mean, it's better than the dog like continuing to run around the town with the guy's head.
That's fair.
You gotta
That's fair.
Look for silver linings where they come.
You know, Mexico could just solve this with, maybe reinstalling the empire and bring back the Habsburgs. Come on, Mexico.
By the way, in case either of you guys, Seth and Strange Seconds, don't know, this guy's obsessed with monarchy.
Oh,
well, I'm a reactionary, so
yeah, he always tries to bring his like super far, like he's like this dude is so far right. Fascism is too far left for him.
Well, I mean, they're different kinds of far right.
I mean, but fascism isn't far right. It is a third position. So,
look, I mean, I know anyone who I talk to, who I meet through the political track is going to have non-conventional political views for the most part.
Dude, Strange Seconds, you're so far left that you're not even far left anymore.
But I mean, like,
I mean,
yeah,
you could technically kind of call me a post-leftist in some ways, I guess.
but fascism is also, like Plutocrat said, it is defined by democracy because it is a democratic movement essentially in the ancient Greek understanding of what democracy was.
Anyway, Seth, you were saying?
I was just
Yeah.
saying there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Okay, let's talk about Halloween movies, everybody. I know Halloween was a day ago. What is everyone's favorite Halloween movie?
I mean, I'll say this much. I do need to say good night here. I've got work tomorrow, so I've gotta.
You're good. We're going to go for
Yeah.
another like 15, 20 minutes anyway, so you can say goodnight here if you want.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, night, people.
Night.
I'll see you around.
night.
Peace.
Good night. Halloween movies. God, I have not watched one
Like
in a long
specifically,
time.
oh, you go. I was gonna say like specifically Halloween like oriented or just a horror movie in general.
Halloween. Well, then we can move on to horror if you would so like to.
Have you heard Tim Curry singing the Halloween song?
Who?
Tim Curry, you know, the guy who plays the butler in Clue and Dr. Frankenfurter in
Yeah. No, that's a good. I've not heard him sing a Halloween song.
Well, I'll drop it in the chat.
Drop it in the chat. We'll watch it afterwards. I don't know if it's copyrighted or not. Wait,
Probably
it's from a 1986 TV movie, so I kind of doubt that anyone's going to claim it. But
I don't know. It's probably. I don't want to get.
I mean, it's on YouTube in its entirety. So
true.
That doesn't matter though. YouTube will still
I don't
strike
want to
it.
get a claim from like NBC Universal or whatever. Hold on.
Fair enough.
We'll see. Anyway, continue what you're saying.
Oh, just the worst witch. It's
You know what? We'll watch like 20 seconds. We'll watch 20 seconds of it.
Okay.
The worst witch. See what that rhymes with? The worst bitch.
I wouldn't change places with anyone tonight. We'll carve pumpkin faces.
He sounds like David Bowie.
And watch the witches flight.
God, is it just me or am I like the only guy in the AA sphere that does not like know who Bowie is?
You don't know who David Bowie is?
No, like I only literally heard of him through AA.
Never heard of
I feel bad
he's
for
a
you.
starman waiting in the sky.
The real question that's worth asking is, David Bowie album is the best.
Oh, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel mixed. They're all so different from each other, but I have a soft spot.
His last one was pretty good for like a last album. Because you normally think of like all those old farts coming around. Like, oh, their latest stuff isn't
I
as
don't know.
good.
When I think about people like career, I don't know. I think about people like Johnny Cash, like suddenly reviving their musical careers, like right before they die. Maybe there's something
Johnny
about
Cash's
the
last
urgency of
stuff was
not
good.
having. Maybe there's something about like the urgency of not having much time longer to create that makes people, dip into deeper wells of creativity within themselves.
If they know it, because they all died of cancer. I mean, David Bowie died of cancer. Did Johnny Cash die of cancer?
I don't know.
He
Look
had
it
to
up.
have. Yeah, you look it up. You're my fact checker. Or was he just old? Maybe he was just old.
tends to happen to all men.
Says he died of complications from diabetes.
He wasn't even. Was he that fat?
No, but not. People don't always. You can have spontaneous like pancreatic issues. You don't have to be fat. I mean, being fat is like a risk factor. Like obesity is a risk factor for a lot of things. But if you have some kind of But if you have some sort of other issue, you can be diabetic and not be fat.
That's fair. But honestly, what kind of like, and I understand the whole like love your body thing, but when people are like, but I don't understand the whole like the fat positivity thing going on right now, because it's fundamentally telling people who have like diabetes or who might have heart attacks and stuff like, I just think it sets a bad message. You guys might disagree, but I think it's
well, it is. I mean, I have my super reactionary take, which is that they are attempting to defy beauty, and by doing that, they are
That's not what we're
embracing.
talking about. We're not talking about beauty. We're talking about health here.
Yeah, but I also it's a metaphysical
whatever.
reason as well. Like if you try to
Okay,
rationalize.
let's say what she wants to say real quick.
No, I was just going to say, I think the internet allows people to find any group in the States, whatever's going on with them, for good or bad. I mean, if I'm going to talk about being some sort of goddamn Redditor, but, all the drug Reddits and stuff, like r/DPH, r/Ambien, it's basically just people doing, r/DPH is just people doing a bunch of Benadryl and then seeing shadow people. And, you can just find the upside of the internet is that you can find any community anywhere that's doing whatever, and they'll meet you where you are. And the bad side of the internet is you can find any group of people anywhere that'll meet you where you are. That's, it all depends on what you do with it.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, that makes sense. But either way, so Kilhoon, we're gonna move on to you. What's your favorite Halloween movie?
Oh boy. God, it's been so long since I've actually watched any like horror, Halloween, any of that genre.
Could be anything. Just could be anything.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think right now because it's just been. It's not my genre. Like I don't really enjoy that genre. And I don't know. I have very little time to actually watch film. Like for like the last few years of my life, that if I watch a film, it's going to be something that's actually memorable, something that's actually good. Like I recently watched Lawrence of Arabia again because it's like that's actually a good
movie. I love that's one of my favorites of all time. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved Lawrence of Arabia. It used to be on a while in like HD 4K or whatever, but I think that it was taken down to be true.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just going to say, Seth, you and I are in a common organization together. I will not dox us, but she and I know each other in real life. Lawrence of Arabia, that would be a fun movie to watch as a group, but I don't know how many people will be interested.
Well, and it's like 3.5 hours long, 4 hours long, something like that. I think it would be a hard sell if I can't get them to sit and watch a Gear God with me, which is like I don't know, like an hour and 20. Then I don't think they're gonna watch Lawrence of Arabia. I'm sad though because
it's 3 hours and 47 minutes long. But if you cut out the intermission, you could probably knock it down to 3.5 hours. All the breaks that they take in the movie. But
I yeah.
I was just gonna say, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'm sad. They asked like, oh, what if the last movie you saw was a different? And then I made that version of Aguirre, but with Road to El Dorado. And I actually spent time editing that video, and then nobody commented. Disappointed.
No, that's me too. That's why I don't share my content in the Discord server that we're both in anymore. Everyone is too busy. it's basically a circle jerk of all their own creative stuff, but everyone is trying to like
I know.
one up their own stuff, which is fine. That's the kind of group I expected to join when I did, but you know what I mean.
Well, I think creative groups in general have issues where people, like actually like taking the time to workshop each other's stuff can be difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of
But either way-
regardless of whatever.
But speaking of movies, it's not really a Halloween movie, but it is a spooky movie, I guess. My brother and I just watched Coraline for the first time 2 days ago.
Did you like it?
I really liked it, yeah.
I saw it at a sleepover when I was like 13.
That movie came out when I was about 13. God, when did that come out? 2010, maybe? 2009? I don't know.
Something
Way
like that.
older than both of you guys. Is that
I remember when it came out. I was just like in elementary school, so I was like a little bit young to watch it.
I mean, it is a kids movie, though.
I guess I feel like at that time I was watching very many like movies that were in theaters. Like I watched some, but it was a lot cheaper to just go to Blockbuster and get whatever was there.
I miss Blockbuster so much.
Well, you can still go to the one in Oregon. I think that one in Oregon is still running.
Okay, guys, I have a question. Do we just miss Blockbuster, or do we miss Blockbuster explicitly, or do we miss what it represents?
I think what it represents, because it's the last age of like the kind of like the optimistic future is kind of like embodied by Blockbuster, and as soon as it started to die, everybody became cynical.
I missed the local video store. What?
No, continue. I'm sorry.
I missed the local video store that was like near my house. Mostly because it was cheaper than Blockbuster, so we would go there more often. But I also remember when I was a little kid, one room, and they had like a sign on the door that said like "No children" because it was like the poor. And
Blockbuster did not have
but
that.
Independent store, and I was like young enough, but not old enough to have like context clues. So I would be like, I was defiant. I was like, I will go in the no children room because they can't keep me out. So basically, my dad would go in to get like, I don't know, like Garfield super for me, and I would be like constantly trying to find ways to infiltrate. And they would have to go get like this, minimum wage. And it's like, I don't know, 2007, so he's probably making like, or get this like poor man in there to like fish me and then return me to my parents.
Did he have to catch you?
Yeah. Well, I remember I would be like, this is the no children room. I'm going to go hide in the porn room and they can't do anything about it. And they would have to like go bring me out and I'd be like annoyed because I didn't know why I couldn't be in there. I think it was mostly just me being oppositional.
Hey, Kilhoun, did you have like at least not necessarily a Blockbuster, but did you have movie store? Do you remember movie stores?
Oh yes, I loved them as a kid. Funny thing, I was like the kid, and my old man would kind of like, within reason, let me get kind of whatever movie I wanted. So I go to like the war movie section. Like as a kid, I'd be like, yeah, World War II movies.
But you got like old school World War II movies.
They ranged. I think the oldest one that I watched as a kid was the original Patton.
That's from the 60s, right?
Yeah, that was 60s. But then there was like newer ones. Like there was this one about like apparently America captured the Enigma machine movie instead of the British, which of course as a kid you think, oh yeah, this is cool, but it's like as an adult you're like, wait, no, the British did this shit, not the Americans.
Let me guess, were you like 10 years old watching Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, I legitimately was. You were in a restaurant?
Yes, and they, how sometimes restaurants will have like a TV going? They had Saving Private Ryan on the TV, like an R-rated, like war movie. It was the landing scene too, so people were getting their intestines blown out. And
Oh my god, my grandfather could not
Playing
get
in
through
the-
that scene.
I was playing in like a Mediterranean in like the middle of the day with like, kids eating falafel stuff, and then in the corner there's some guy screaming and covered in blood. It was very weird, and we just sat for a good like 10, 15 minutes before one of the employees switched it over to tennis.
No, okay, so it was funny. I was watching. Oh God, who was it? There was one YouTuber who recently, at least back, I think it was back in May, charted his nationwide road trip to go to every single rainforest cafe, and he was talking about how in
I've seen that.
What?
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, no, I was like at one of the rest stops, his car broke down, and then in the car shop, it was just Saving Private Ryan on loop, and he had to watch it 2 times until his car was fixed. No, but in all seriousness, shit, what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. But Saving Private Ryan. Oh no, Seth. So you and I live in the same general vicinity. There's this sushi place, Samurai Sushi, near.
Up at Yuma?
Yeah, and they play Miyazaki films like right in the middle of the place. Yeah, like no, there's always a Miyazaki film playing, and so it's nice. It's a nice like I'll go there for sake and sushi sometime, and they're always playing something. So.
I always go there when I'm like gonna go get groceries and stuff, but I tend to not actually go in because like I don't know, like I don't have the money necessarily to like pay for a sit down meal, but I always look at it because the windows are always decorated.
No, the sake is only like $6. You got it's like 3 shots of sake.
Well, I'm 20, so.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I don't know. I'm a lot older than my friends, Kilhoon. Well, I mean, I know you two. You're a lot younger than I am, but. Kilhoon, how old are you now?
I'm 21.
Okay.
I'm a 2001 child, so it's kind of weird because I'm with a lot of people, a lot of groups, like in Discord chats and stuff, and they tend to be like in their 30s. And honestly, I have heard like why can't we go back to the 90s? And I'm just like, I have to like always interject, and it's kind of funny because I bring like my Gen Z in, and it's like, I think it's just the fact that you lived in it. Now I'm just going to completely contradict you and just say, you were just optimistic, and it's just because you lived in that time that you have this bliss. And I can like kind of look at it from like a younger, detached mode. I can look at these things and be like, yeah, no, it actually wasn't. The 90s weren't great. You were just sleepwalking into disaster.
Optimism is cowardice.
The 90s.
Yep.
What? The 90s were honestly a silent time in world history. I feel like people are always just nostalgic for the time when they were a little kid and didn't watch the news.
That's actually a fair point.
Yeah.
What's the first like world event that you're paying attention to?
9/11. No, the release of Toy Story 2.
That's your world event. Toy Story 2.
Yes, not even lying. Toy Story 2.
Fair enough.
I guess the first selection of Obama, which I was only 7, but I was kind of like forced to pay attention to it, and I at a young age, like I was kind of like always into politics.
Did you like Obama?
No, I hated him. It was this primordial anger of mine to hate that man, probably because of a certain pigmentation that he had too.
Oh, wait, was your family like racist?
No, they weren't, but I'm just saying that probably my primordial like young mind was probably hating him because of that.
So 7-year-old you was racist.
Probably like looking back on it.
I feel like the first. No, you go. I was just gonna say, I think the first world event that I remember was Arab Spring in 2011. I mean, I remember Obama getting elected, but I didn't really care. I was like in first grade. I cared more about what was on PBS Kids than who the
Oh yeah,
president
well,
was.
what were you watching on PBS Kids back in the day?
I watched
Do
a
you
lot of
like
Fetch.
Arthur?
I watched Arthur. I watched Fetch with Rough Ruffman.
Oh, fun fact! I was almost on season 4 of Fetch with Rough Ruffman.
Were you like in Boston or something?
No, I auditioned. I was like, I almost got to like the last round, but I wasn't.
I also used to watch Cyber Chase, Roll, Mama Mirabelle's Home Movies, Between the Lions, George Shrinks, Franny
Shit, I remember
Steve,
that. George Shrinks. I remember that.
Zaboomafoo.
What about Arthur?
Yeah, I used to watch Arthur. You already asked me
Hey,
that.
what a wonderful kind of day.
Do you watch Postcards from Buster?
Yeah, that was like the Arthur spinoff.
The weird semi-live action Arthur spinoff.
Yeah, that was strange. The semi-live action part, that was kind of weird. It was like,
I always found
it's
Buster's
like,
dad creepy looking.
what? Arthur's dad?
Wait, let me. No, I think it's like Buster's. Yeah, I always found Buster's dad creepy looking.
Well, why do you think
Picture in the
Buster's mom
chat.
divorced his dad?
No, it's like more human-like than his son, and it like makes me uncomfortable.
Kilhoon, what did you watch at PBS Kids?
Oh, on PBS Kids. God, wasn't that like didn't they have like Arthur and Arthur, what else do they have? Oh, Sesame Street.
Yeah.
What else? I swear I remember watching it a lot, but those are like the only two cartoons that come off the top of my head.
Oh, you're gonna love this, Kilhoon. So, after George Floyd was killed, so Sesame Street released a thing, and it wasn't even very political. It was like Elmo zooming with his dad. It was like, Elmo doesn't like racism. How can Elmo learn more about this? Because he wants all his friends to be treated fairly. And Elmo's daddy says, like, well, we can start by learning and you asking an adult. And so it didn't say anything. It was supposed to start like a conversation between the kid and his parents. It wasn't trying to make any ideological statement. And then do you know who gets like super pissed and is like, CNN is trying to like influence children. CNN's trying to brainwash children. Do you know who says that?
Who, your favorite person in the world?
Dave fucking Rubin. That
Yeah,
moron.
that guy.
He comes out with like a 30-minute video on his YouTube channel about how Sesame Street's trying to brainwash people just for talking about racism.
This reminds me of the Tinky Winky being gay thing.
No, it's worse than that. No, because at least Tinky Winky is kind of gay. Like, let's admit it. Tinky Winky's a little bit gay.
Yeah, but does Tinky Winky even have a gender? Like, what's between its legs to start with? Like,
Well, we need
what
to
do they call
discuss
each
this.
other?
What is the lore? What is the lore of the Teletubbies?
Do Teletubbies have sexes or genders, or do they just exist? Like,
I think
Tinky Winky's
they just exist. Honestly, I think that's like
produced.
they're kind of like this. They're kind of like angelic beings, I guess, or something. Like they live outside of.
Produce like through like
No.
spores or something, because the possibility of Teletubbies having too disturbing to contemplate.
This is a pretty good Halloween
I don't think
creepy Halloween discussion.
Esoteric Teletubbyism.
Tinky
You know-
Winky is the biggest Teletubby, who is bluish purple, clumsy, and gentle. No, wait, is Tinky Winky the gay one, or is that Dipsy? No, Dipsy's the pimp.
No, Tinky
Dipsy-
Winky is the one that they said was gay. Magic bag, and then what's his
Dude,
face said it was like a.
He is 10 foot. He is 10 feet tall.
If I was chased around by a 10-foot tall androgynous creature with a giant bag, I'd really be worried about its sexual orientation. I'd be more worried that I was going to get eaten.
Yes. Yes. The entire wiki has like an entire page on Tinky Winky started a still hinted at a controversy in 1999 due to his carrying a bag that looks much like a woman's handbag. Although he was first outed by the academic and cultural critic Andy Medhurst in a letter in 1997 of July to The Face. I don't know if that's linked to the letter. He aroused. I love how they use the word "arouse." The Teletubby Wiki. He aroused the interest of Jerry Falwell in 1999 when Falwell alleged that the character was a gay role model. Falwell issued an attack on the National Liberty Journal, citing a Washington Post in-out column which stated that lesbian comedian Ellen DeGeneres was out as the chief national gay representative, while trendy Tinky Winky was in. He warned parents that Tinky Winky could be a hidden homosexual because he is purple, the gay pride color, and his antenna is shaped like a triangle, the gay pride symbol. Okay, first of all, as our resident Catholic, Kilhoun, what's your opinion on Jerry Falwell?
Well, for one, I just hate the over. I mean, this is kind of going to sound like a boomer take, but honestly, the over sexualization of everything, like having to even contemplate the idea that the Teletubbies have like sexual anything. I just absolutely despise it. And I kind of just see it as part of the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, and our decline into the state of degeneracy. But I put down a creepy Teletubby video in the description if we want to react to it.
Oh, this is, by the way, this is our
in the private jet.
Yeah, we'll do that. But no, but I just thought you'd hate Jerry Falwell because he's like super like crazy Baptist or something.
I mean, I do. I generally do hate low church Protestants in general. But I hate the fact that he brings it up, but I also stand back and ask the question, is there something primordial going on there, even though he's a Baptist and he's wrong on everything theology? Is he having the right inclination to know that something's wrong there? That's always the question I ask.
Okay, we'll watch this. Hold on. Is this satanic?
No, it's like a creepy cartoon YouTube channel.
I don't know if I can handle this.
Here, turn up a little bit. There. A little bit more. Turn up. There we go.
Are these the Teletubbies?
Supposedly. I just know this channel made a creepy SpongeBob one.
This is so disturbing. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can do this.
I just shared a video too in the spirit of Halloween.
They're a sun cult.
Yep.
Hold on, real quick. You guys remember Pyrocynical? This is my favorite. This might be one of my favorite videos on YouTube.
Over the hills and far away, Teletubbies come to
Smoke weed every day.
1, 2, 3,
Oh, baby, a triple!
4.
Just cause that I've been dealt to life. I'm walking on the loop, but my hope will never die. But my hope will never
This is just like cheap video effects over the show.
So yeah, that's it. That's the dumbest video on YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
So anyway, so yeah, Buster's dad is pretty creepy. It's kind of like an uncanny valley. He kind of looks more like a human than a bunny.
It's like time that the Backstreet Boys were on Arthur.
Wait, I remember that. What were they singing?
Nothing but the music.
Do you remember when Muffy? No, not Muffy. Francine. There was an entire episode of Arthur about Francine being Jewish.
Oh yeah,
I vaguely remember
I
that.
remember that.
Yeah, where Muffy was like, "You don't celebrate Christmas, you celebrate Hanukkah. What's wrong with you?"
I mean, based. What is wrong with you?
No, but then it's like no. But what's funny is it showed like the ultimate Hanukkah tradition. And literally in the episode, Francine's family took her on Christmas for Chinese food and to a movie. Which is every single person I've talked to who is Jewish, that is their Christmas tradition. Like, it's not even a stereotype. It is real. Chinese food in a movie.
Well, the Chinese are the only ones open on Christmas.
You Chinese? Are you Jewish?
I would eat. Me?
Yeah.
No. I would just eat Chinese food on Christmas anyway.
That's fair.
Why not?
I would too. Why not? No, that actually is not a bad thing to eat. That's actually, yeah. Have you guys ever seen A Christmas Story?
Yes.
Remember, deck the house with bars of fiery. Anyway.
It's like a Chinese restaurant. What?
We aren't even
I was
past
just gonna say, there's like a
Thanksgiving.
Chinese restaurant.
What?
You go first,
Oh,
and then I'll talk.
Okay, I'm gonna go first. So we're not even done with Thanksgiving, and we're already doing Christmas. It's like, come on. This is why I escaped retail and joined the military. Retail drove me to the military.
What were you doing in retail before?
It was just literally during high school. You know,
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was just during high school, so like I needed a job, and it was one of the last Kmart's to ever exist.
You worked at a Kmart.
Yeah, it was. It
That was
sucked.
yeah. Anyway, Seth, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say there's like a Chinese restaurant right down the street from my house. So I don't know, the idea of running down there and getting some like home style tofu and like I don't know, house lo mein sounds like a pretty good Christmas to me.
Sounds like a pretty good Christmas, not gonna lie. Especially, I have a Chinese place next to my apartment, and I have a Chinese place about a mile away from my house. So.
The only good feast on Christmas is a Christ's eternal sacrifice at the altar in the Eucharist.
Do you actually go to church on Christmas Day?
I do.
You don't just go on Christmas. You don't
But
go on
does
Christmas Eve.
does Christ's eternal sacrifice does it taste good?
It depends, but I would say no matter what form it came in, it always tastes good. Even if it was like the moldy bread that was transubstantiated into his flesh.
A better way of saying it is like, is it satisfying? Because maybe it doesn't taste good, but maybe it's satisfying.
Yeah, it is. I mean, she asked if it was if it tastes good, which that's subjective. But if it's satisfying, yes, it is eternally satisfying.
Yeah, that's my co-host for you, Papist. Anyway,
I've had the gluten-free body of Christ before.
Oh wait, was this in like a cringe Protestant church where it's just it's just a representation? It's not actually Christ's flesh and blood. Like, no, it is actually Christ's flesh and blood.
Well, that's why it's the gluten-free body of Christ rather than a gluten-free representation of Christ. There's no rule that says that Jesus has to have gluten.
I was just asking if it was within a cringe Protestant or a base Catholic church.
Yeah, if you want to know something about Calhoun, he's like super Catholic. So.
The Protestant Reformation was the beginning of the decline of the West.
Speaking of which, yesterday was Reformation Day. What do you have to say about that, Calhoun? Halloween's Reformation Day.
Yes, the holiday that's associated with evil events in the world is also where an actual evil event happened. So,
oh, wait, I thought you respected Martin Luther.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I don't respect him because of what he did. He dragged people to hell because of his theology.
Even Bishop Barron respects Martin Luther.
He respects him intellectually, but he doesn't respect him theologically.
Well, you can't have everything.
I mean, I don't like him because he dragged people to hell. It's like I can still appreciate his intellectual works, but all this theology is evil.
Seth, Calhoun always tries to make this a religious stream, even though it's not.
well, no. One thing, I don't separate the temporal and the spiritual. To me, they are one and the same.
So wait, are you saying that America should be a theocracy?
I don't believe that there is a concept of theocracy, that there's only governments in line with God's law, which whether that takes the form of a monarchy, whether it takes the form of a like the papal states where it's literally what you said, like a theocracy, it's like it really doesn't. I mean, as long as it's not a republic, disgusting.
What's your opinion of Tom Woods? Tom Woods, who's like a devout tradcath, but he's also like hardcore libertarian and cap.
That's because he clearly doesn't understand his own theology's social teachings when it comes to.
He disagree with you because he's written entire books on the church.
Yeah, I know he has, but he clearly missed the whole part about the politics part of it, where all government is ordained by God and must be subject to the church. So Ancapistan is like actually anathema to the Catholic Church.
So no anarchy.
Yeah, anarchy is anathema.
What about what's his name? Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci, who is a socialist, communist actually, but he was also like super Catholic. Like he advocated for communism on Catholic grounds within a Catholic network, and that's why other communists hated him.
I mean, he should have just gone with like the anti-capitalist right wing then, if he truly believed that, instead of like he stuck his guns with the left, which was his undoing.
But epistemologically, he wasn't left wing, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, but he's still
anti-capitalism did originate on the conservative side.
Yes, it did, but for some reason he chose to stay on the left, which was retarded. He should have gone to like a anti-capitalist right wing, like say honestly Mussolini's Italy. He should have supported Mussolini if he was true.
But Mussolini, that's where he started. Mussolini was a socialist, and then Mussolini, because like fascism originated in socialism.
Yeah, it was anti-capitalist, but then I mean, Mussolini also was anti-materialistic, so he became anathemaed with socialism because socialism is a materialistic ideology, while fascism isn't.
I disagree. I'd say fascism is still a fundamentally modernistic Enlightenment ideology.
Modernist, yes, but I would say materialistic, no.
Enlightenment, yes, though. Fascism would not exist. Fascism is part of the Enlightenment triad of liberalism, socialism, and fascism.
Yes, I would agree with that one. It's just the only reason why I kind of say this, but I can like tolerate and read fascist authors because they are anti-materialistic, and that's like the only thing I can give them some respect with their ideology, unlike liberals and socialists.
So am I the only liberal you're friends with, Kilhoon?
Yes.
All right. On that note, let's move on to one final topic before we leave. Let's talk about Ziggurats. We have to. We are compelled to.
Well, they're kind of pointy, except when they aren't.
In what way?
They're shaped in a pointy fashion. They're wider at the base than they are up. They have a point.
George, you're here.
Oh yeah, you finally woke up.
George, are you Barry O'Mara again?
Yeah. Yes.
Barry, what was it? Barry O'Malley? What's his name?
That doesn't matter. It's Obama, but white.
White Obama. So we're talking about Ziggurats. George, what's your opinion on Ziggurats?
Who cares?
Good answer.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
George, what does Halloween mean to you?
I heard an interesting take recently. What's the point of dressing up when men pretend to be women and vice versa is like becoming more and more accepted? So like why bother dressing up on one particular night when you have theoretically millions of people dressing up every day? And an excuse to get drunk or go to parties. I mean, I don't know, alcoholism, substance abuse is way up. So I think people are already doing that without, this need of the day before All Saints Day. So, but the rise of Halloween as like a popular holiday is really odd.
I'm about trick-or-treating.
Yeah, I wish I could still trick or treat, but I'm not old. But I'm too old.
No, you just have to
You just gotta,
shave you just gotta cut off your legs and put on good costume. You're not willing to go the mile. How far are you willing to go, Politicrat, to trick or treat to fulfill your dreams?
I could have probably just worn my knight's helmet and said I was a tall 13-year-old, and I could have gone out.
I could be a
You're not that tall,
14-year-old boy, obviously.
What?
I said I could be a 14-year-old boy, obviously.
No, that's what Kilhoon said. Kilhoon, didn't you ask? Kilhoon, was that you if you asked if Seth was a 14-year-old boy?
Yeah, that's what I asked.
Seth, you could have totally gone out then.
Well, that's why I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I went trick-or-treating. But around campus. I didn't walk into the neighborhoods. But part of that was that I went out at 8 p.m. and by that time most of the kids are done.
No, but I never even saw kids walking around when I went home last night.
Well, imagine that if you're I don't want to, but if you're in an area where it's mostly apartments, then there probably aren't that many with children.
That's fair.
Yeah, I live in the
Walmart.
country, so I don't have to deal with kids coming around asking for candy.
Where do all the kids go if you're in the country? Where do they all go trick or treating?
They trunk or treat, probably.
Yeah, there is a trunk or treat in like the main town in this valley where I'm at. It's kind of like at the center.
What's that?
I'm not gonna say the town, not to dox myself. But
No, what's trunk or treat?
Oh, trunk or treat. It's like where a bunch of cars come in and like essentially instead of going house to house, you go car to car. It's like a really lazy way of trick or treating.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I feel like the best thing to do in that situation, parents just get like a thing of candy. And then, I don't know, like I feel like that would suck if you weren't in like a big area to go trick-or-treating, because then again, you'd have to suffer through trunk-or-treating.
It sounded more like a suburban thing.
Okay, so Seth, what's it like in North Carolina?
Just in general? What?
Trick-or-treating.
Oh. Well, pretty small houses. So there aren't very many like school-aged children, like young couples with toddlers or like older people. Kids and stuff, we would always like clean up wherever we went door to door. And honestly, I played until I was like 17 because nobody really cared. Like if turn around, they probably would have cared. Like, oh, you're taking candy from kids who need it. Only like a handful of people in the neighborhood who trick or treated, so no one came after me. He was like a Civil War reenactor, so he has a bunch of costumes and stuff. We call him Spooky Man. He lives like up at the end of the neighborhood, and he'll always do something really extravagant. One year, he covered himself in paper and hid in his dumpster, and like jumped out as this monster. So I always, I look forward to going. Does, and that sort of thing, and people, they'll go out on their lawns and like deck chairs and stuff, or like lawn chairs, and drink and give out candy. So I don't know. I'd say it's pretty fun, but not usually very crowded.
That's fair. I just had a normal suburban Halloween. However, I always thought it was weird because one of the strangest scenes in a movie, in my opinion, was in E.T. in the Halloween scene, because it was still light out. Why were they trick-or-treating at like 3 p.m.? That made no sense, and it still bothers me to this day.
See, I feel like trick-or-treating, at least in my neighborhood, was usually maybe like 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah,
maybe
like 6:30 to 9 in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
The latest I can remember going out trick-or-treating was probably like 10 or 11 o'clock when I was a kid. It had to be around that time. I don't quite remember entirely. It's been so long. I also quit trick-or-treating like pretty young too. Like I was only like, last time I went trick-or-treating I was like 12.
I was 15.
Yeah, I kind of lost the appeal. Also, I as a kid, I was like a melancholic kid too. I was like, no, I don't get any joy from taking candy from all these people, and then like I'd have the candy sit around for like months, and I would barely eat it. So it's like it wasn't worth going out and trick or treating.
You should you hold it on for so many months in December, which you think is when all the candy's eaten. You can start selling them for like, I don't know, a quarter a pop, or maybe maybe even a dime would probably be like more expensive than what like the factory would make, and you basically got it for free. So it's like a 100% markup.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a little entrepreneur. In fact, I don't have a capital drive. There were some kids that did do that actually in my school.
I was one of them. I didn't do that necessarily, but I did like sell gum and other crap. And I think the most outrageous prize was like selling one piece of gum for $1. And the girl I sold it to, she turned around and said, I just realized if I took this $1 and some spare change, I could buy like an entire pack by myself. Capitalism, baby. Anglo strikes again.
Yep. The eternal Anglo. She should have had to trade you like, one pencil for one stick of gum or something. The true forms of economics.
I wonder what like the real life equivalent of that would be. Some like Indian going up to British and holding up a gun, saying, I would have to like pledge fealty to you and like become part of the British India Company. I could have like bought this gun from the Russians or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
on that note, I think it's about time we wrap up.
Yeah, it is too.
Yeah, it is pretty late. Thank you everybody for coming on. Sorry, George, for it being a little late. He already left. But thank you guys for coming on. A nice chill stream. But yeah. Anyone have any final thoughts? Anyone want to wrap up?
Well, pray for all the souls in purgatory, and make your devotions to the saints, because it's All Saints Day, and it will be All Souls Day soon.
It's All Souls Day now.
Oh yeah, it's like only 1 minute into All Souls Day for me.
For you. Wait. No, it's an hour and 1 minute for you.
No, I'm in Mountain Time.
Oh, that's right. You are in Mountain Time. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm in I'm literally the 1%er of time zones in the United States, because very few people